Hello, 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 and welcome to another Friday night of Shadow Whispers in the Night. I was going to say Saturday, but it's not Saturday, it is Friday. I'm kind of changing my shows from a Saturday to a Friday. And I'm going to mix and match whatever it suits because I have to do investigations. Anyway, welcome to another Friday night Shadow Whispers in the Night with my host, Chris Mooney. Chris Mole. Chris Mole.
I've
I always think you're late.
practiced what direction you're in, so you're in that direction. And
He's over there.
direction. I know I'm usually in the corner, so that's how I usually know you.
There's my cat. You know my cat. You know when I go live because my cat always meows and so on. Anyway,
I've noticed that. I've noticed. It's very strange that.
Yeah, because I'm not.
Does she like the program? Does she like watching this or something?
No, he wants food. He wants food. He wants food. We have a fantastic guest on with us tonight. I'm excited for this. I'm so excited. I have so many questions. And I have met her briefly, but now I'm meeting her proper now. I am going to introduce our fabulous Penny Griffins Morgan. Good evening. There you are.
It's me. Hello.
You're here. You're here. You're here. How are you keeping? Typically Irish. How are you keeping?
I'm good, thank you. I'm good, thank you. I'm good. My muscles aren't hurting yet after my gym exploits today, so tomorrow I won't be able to walk.
Don't mention the gym. That's a terrible word to me.
and when you were saying that to me, I was eating crap food, and I said, right. And I was eating like a chicken nugget, and I was like,
It's protein. It's protein. It's good for you. It's protein. You've got to eat the protein. I can turn most things into a positive. I mean, it's like chocolate. Isn't it a vegetable because it's the cocoa bean? I mean,
that's very true.
Girlfriend, we love. Okay, we're going with that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. We're going with that. I know. The thing is, I don't even eat chocolate. I don't eat chocolate.
I do.
You don't eat chocolate?
No, I don't. I mean, if it's there in front, well, actually, I lie because a few weeks ago I had a few glasses.
Ferrero Rocher.
Yeah, I did. Well, listen, it was in front of me and it was opened up. So what can I do?
I seen the picture and I thought about the ambassador. Remember the old adverts used to get on TV? And they used to come out with the tray and it was all like piled up. They're perfectly dry.
With this Ferrero Rocher, you are really spoiling us.
Yes. Spoiling me.
That's it.
Oh, you remember that, Penny?
I'm that old, yeah.
Oh, I'm certainly not far behind you. It's the big one next year.
Is there? Oh.
The big one next year. Lulu, there's Lulu there tonight. There's Lulu. That's my Lulu. That's my Lulu. Oh, that's me, actually. I did that today. You see, I am sick. Sick. Oh, stop it. I've said so many stupid things like when I was on video with Nando earlier, and I came out with the most stupidest things, and I'm like, okay, Chris, you're going to have to do the talking for me tonight.
It's okay. It's okay. I've read everything that you gave me.
And you know what? I actually forget what I was going to say.
What were you going to say?
Oh, no, I know. It came back to me. No, Louise edits and does the YouTube better than I can. So Louise is going to bleep out the part where I said, the big one next year. But, still fabulous. Still fabulous.
The fifth, isn't it 50 is the new 40 or is it the new 30? I don't. I was saying that I don't remember my mum at the age I am now going to the gym, wearing all black, wearing jeans, going paranormal investigate, all that. I don't think age is. I think some people do act like stereotypical, but I think you do what you want to do. If at 65 you want to learn to fly a helicopter.
Yeah.
Bloody go and do it. It's the way I look at things.
You got to remember, I mean, between the modern science nowadays, if you to go back, say, 100 years, 40, 50, 60 was really classed as like the end of your days kind of thing.
Are you talking to a historian right now? You wanting me to talk to you about demographics?
Honestly,
I've never seen this stumble.
I find it quite interesting because my grandmother would talk about it. My grandmother, she's gone now, she's passed away, but if she was still alive, she's probably about 120 something.
Yeah.
But she was born in 1913, right? She came from a family of 14. She had, I think it was 9 brothers and the rest were sisters.
Yeah.
And I know. And she worked hard. She worked in the wash houses near Edinburgh. And you should have seen her hands. I mean, her hands are like bad.
Yeah.
That's women in those days were really hard there. I mean, really hard there. And I can remember going to see my grandmother, and it was snowing heavy outside, and she'd been in her 70s, 80s, and she would go outside in the snow, and she would bring in pails of coal for the fire.
Yeah.
It's different now, because I do think, like, with modern science, you know.
Well, that's it. And
I mean, if you my day job. Sorry, my day job, I work in the care industry.
Yeah.
So, and I've been doing that for about 20 years.
Mm-hmm.
When I first started doing it, the average age of person I was looking after who was going into care was probably about 78, 79.
Mm-hmm.
Now it's near 89, 90.
Yeah.
So it shows how it's progressed. Also, when people talk about the state pension, this is where I school them on the history of it. When the state pension came out, they only expected to have to pay it for maybe 5-10 years maximum from when people retired at 65. Mm-hmm. Not many live past 75. Well, now you've got average age into the mid 80s and older. That's why it struggles. Well, one of the reasons. Mm-hmm. But yeah, so when you look at age demographics, so yeah, I don't think I act like my mum did when she. Well, I know I don't act like my mum did. So I don't dress like she did. I don't act like she did.
That's
you don't. I don't think.
Sorry. No, go ahead. Go ahead, Penny.
Well, no, it's just I think society now. You can be. Yes, there is. I still sometimes feel that my age group gets ignored, or we're invisible. Sometimes, once you're over 35 as a woman, that's it. You're a dried up husk.
Yeah.
But you can prove that you're not, and you can shout loud, and you can go to the gym in your 50s and lift pretty heavy weights. You can get your first TV contract in your late 40s. These, it's there is a ceiling, but it's not as age related as it was 20 years ago.
I find it very ageism, and I hate that. I hate it. I really hate it. And I have to say, Penny, you can give me a voice note every morning saying, Jenny, get up the fuck out of your bed and go to the gym, or do a weight in the living room, and motivate me. Don't make me ring, and stop me from kind of ordering breakfast. Sometimes, it's just, I think in the last few weeks I've kind of been a little bit, doing different stuff and whatnot, and I kind of just didn't do a lot of stuff that I used to do. But that is all, I need your motivation, Penny. Voicemail every morning.
Hey, I don't trust my motivation. The only reason I'm doing it, I'm still doing it, I mean, I've always lifted weights. I used to play rugby. I did martial arts. I've always been one of the girls. But I started really hitting the weights hard again at the beginning of this year.
What did you lift today?
Sorry?
What did you lift today? And this is when I was eating the chicken nugget, and she tells me what she lifted, and I'm like,
oh God.
Maybe I won't eat this.
87.5 kilo deadlift.
Holy.
And for anyone who deadlifts, this was a conventional deadlift. This wasn't a sumo, which is easier to do heavy. This was a conventional deadlift. I did 87.5 kilos.
Holy.
That is a bit more than I weigh as well. It's probably about 115% of what I weigh.
Oh my God.
Did I struggle today to open my box of Maltesers?
But saying that, I struggled to open the can of tuna I was trying to eat.
No. Some cans
just wouldn't rip.
And I went to the gym and whatnot, and I love the gym. Yeah. But I think, this is what I think personally, I would love a gym for older women and not 20 skinny something-year-olds that have no children.
I quite like embarrassing the young 20-year-olds in their perfect Gymshark stuff, because I'm there, I'm a bit sweaty, body temperature won't regulate itself. I don't give a monkeys about having the makeup on and the hair looking immaculate. Yeah. I'm not. I've still actually got my t-shirt on that I wore. It's an AC/DC t-shirt. That's what I wore to the gym. Leggings, baseball boots. I don't give a monkeys. As long as I'm comfortable, and I see them sort of walk past me like these perfect size 10 girls in their perfect matching outfits, and they're sort of and then I see them look down at where the pin is on the machine, and
they lighten it up. They lighten it up.
And that's what I enjoy. That's what I enjoy. Or my favourite one is when you're in the free weights area, and this has happened to me, in the free weights area, and I was doing the leg press where you have to put plates on it. It's not one that's a pin; it's the plated leg press.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm wandering off looking for more plates because I had to get it up. It's about 160 kilos, I think I put on it.
You're fucking kidding me.
Plus the machine. The machine's about 60 or 70, I think, in its own right. But anyway,
God.
So some more plates, right? And I rep that. That's not just one rep. I rep it. I love it. I love it. Anyway, and I'm looking for a new plate. And this bloke comes over, youngish guy, good looking, obviously lifts weights. He goes, "Oh, do you want a hand clearing the machine off?" I can imagine. No. I'm looking for more. And he went, "Really?" And I went, "Yeah." Now, depending what mood I would have been in, I was either going to be really offended at this or killing myself laughing. I was in a good mood. I had no brain gremlins that day. I got on it. He watched me lift it. And I did my first set of like 8 or 10. I can't remember now what I was doing. I actually saw him go, fair play. And I'm just like,
come on.
That's what I like. That's what I find. But then again, he wasn't being obnoxious. He wondered if I could, because there are people who struggle to. I mean, well, people seem to struggle to clear their machines full stop anyway. But it was the look on his face when I said, "No, I'm looking for more."
That's brilliant. I love that. I'm going to give a quick few call-outs and then we're going to ask without questions, Miss Morgan.
Well, that's my girl Emily in there. She's my surrogate daughter.
Oh,
where's Emily?
That's my surrogate daughter, Emily.
That's
my surrogate daughter.
Oh, Emily, listen.
Haunted Happenings, Emily. She's one of Category Paranormal is her group if you want to follow it.
I will definitely. Send me and I'll send on to Chris, and Chris will get it up on the page. You
hear that, Emily? Send the link to Category into here, and they'll put it up.
And then we'll
listening.
Yeah, post it here. Look at this, Mom.
Yeah, she's my surrogate daughter. Well, her mum's adopting my son, my 15-year-old, because he helps out with Haunted Happenings and they love him. So her mum's adopting Will and I'm getting Emily. I've got the better end of the bargain.
You legend, Penny. I swear, I mean, I did give up the gym for a while. I had to because I'm studying and it's kind of like payments for each. And I'm like, what am I going to do? I'm going to do studying first. So I went in with the studying and I've got weights and everything at home. So I'm doing it day by day. But I'm going to.
I need to go to the gym. And I know I need to go to the gym. But come on, I take cold sweats when I go near the gym.
Just go for a walk.
I've got a border collie and I live in the middle of nowhere, so it's great.
Yeah, you live in a beautiful part. You send me videos and pictures, and there's miles and miles. It's amazing.
Right, I'm just going to disappear for a sec because I am just taking my jumper off. For some reason, I'm starting to have a hot flush. So 1 second.
I just had one. Let's compare hot flushes. Not really. Oh, AC/DC. Come on, AC/DC.
Oh, that's better.
I'm here at the window and I have my fan. Oh, look. What's beside me? I don't know. Oh, no, here somewhere. I have a bag of fans.
Oh, my God.
I have a bag of fans.
When I had one in my bag when I did the Festival of the Unexplained in September, and some of the other women of a similar age were all nicking my hand fan.
I have a huge one, actually covers my whole face. But we'll say very quick few hellos before we get started. Paul, Hayes, our Paul. Hello both. I'll be silent and watch it tonight. I'm not feeling so well. Have a great show. I have the hot whiskey. Paul, I have the hot whiskey. Get yourself better soon. I know when we're voice mailing today, he does sound, as we say in Ireland, rough. You said it's sick, like we know in Ireland we say rough. Billy, hi, how are you? Thank you for joining us tonight. Iron Fire, Henny and Chris. It's Jen. He knows Jenny. Mary, my darling.
Well, it could be Jenny or Penny, couldn't it? It could be Jenny or Penny.
It could be actually.
Couldn't it? Henny could be Jenny or Penny.
We'll take it for both. Mary, my favorite woman from the Netherlands. How are you? I love Mary. Liz from Scotland. Absolutely love Liz. Funny, I remember me and Liz were on a video one night and we were laughing so much. Her neighbours were banging the wall next door. Nick, Matty, how are you? Thank you for joining us. How are you doing? Christopher, hello, Paul. Hope you feel better soon. Good evening, Penny. Nice to meet you. Oh,
Hi,
Penny,
Mary.
a lot to say. Honest to God, she's fantastic. Thank you, Iron Fire Horse. Did I say that wrong? Horse.
No, it's Iron Fire Horse. It's Iron Fire Horse.
Oh, no, it's just the way I said horse. I can't speak today. I don't know why I can't.
I've had that problem too. There's meant to be a super moon tonight, and it's making me wonder if it's affecting the energy. I think it's every 7 to 8 years or something like that. This special moon comes in.
Oh, Louisa, thank you so much. We hope you enjoy it because we've had amazing shows. We hope you enjoy it, and we have Penny with us tonight. No, I'm not saying that word.
That's when we were talking about ages and socioeconomic.
Oh,
there you go. That's what when we were talking about ages and how it's changed and everything else. That's what that was in relation to. I saw it come up.
That's the one. Socio-economic.
Lums. Good to see you, Lums.
I quit the gym when I
That's the one.
Oh, Iron, yeah. Oh, Heather, you do Heather, you do weightlifting too. Heather was with me in Redwood Castle about 2 or 3 years ago, I think, Heather. That's awesome. Who else have we got here now? Mark Wallbank. Hello, thank you.
We've got someone in from New Zealand.
Oh, wow. Where is that? Where's that? Jenny Penny Henny. Is this live? Flavio, yes, it is live. We are live.
Yes.
I've seen your name before. We are live. We said your name. We are live. Lawrence, how are you, my darling? I hope you are well. Come back over to Ireland and we'll do an investigation. Right. Penny, you're on the hot spot now, my darling.
Yes.
You're on the hot spot. I have so many questions to ask. Yes, you are. I love when someone else is in the hot spot and not me. Okay, I'm just I want to start off with, what was your first love? Paranormal or history?
Oh,
I know it's
probably paranormal. Probably the paranormal. From a young age, my parents, and I know now why they did it, being a parent now myself, but they used to drag me and my sister to every single castle, stately home, you name it, when we were on our caravanning holidays. And I was, oh God, not another blooming castle. So I wasn't that enamored by it then, history and all that stuff. But I did have weird experiences on a paranormal basis from quite a young age. So it was probably more I thought I was a bit different, and I thought I would hear things, I would see things, and I'm not a medium or anything like that, but I would experience things that I couldn't explain. The love of history probably started when I was when would I have first had that teacher? 12, when I went to secondary school, and I had this amazing teacher called Phil Hancock for history. I had him until I was 16. And he was mad as a box of frogs, but in an amazing way. When people sort of laugh about my enthusiasm when I'm talking about it, that's who I get that from. It's that genuine. I want to talk about this. I want to make you love it. I want you to see how it's important, rather than just going in 1847. He actually brought it to life. Now, a lot of the kids thought he was batshit, basically. But I liked it because if he never once said to me, no, you're wrong, if I questioned something. If I said, well, why have we interpreted the evidence to mean ABC? Why is it not ADC? Or, you know what I mean? He would spend hours talking to me about it, and we would be having open discussions. And interestingly enough, when I chose my A-levels, I chose history. And he said to my mum, she's making a huge mistake. She will hate it and will fail it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
He was right. I did. I hated it and I failed it at history A-level. But he said, make sure she doesn't lose her love of history, because she does. She's good because she questions things, but she will hate A level. Absolutely hate it.
Okay.
Tragically, he I used to even see him when I was, because he used to use the cut through from where I lived in Norfolk. There was a road that went, it's a little village and my parents live in. I would always see him driving his antique Rover and always wave. He always used to wave me even after I'd left school. He died when I was 21. He was about 45. He dropped down dead of a heart attack on the rugby pitch. And there was a reason I'm telling you all this. And I was absolutely devastated. He really was one of my favorite teachers. So I went to his memorial service. I wanted to pay my respects. And I had one of the weirdest experiences at this memorial service.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I'm going to tell you this experience, right? It still makes me shiver now. There's the dog barking because he's been shut in the other room, because he keeps dropping his bone and his toys on my lap, and it was doing my nutting.
No.
I told you he was a doofus, didn't I?
You
Jen? I
did.
told you he was a brat.
I've got 5 of them in here, and they're all like sleeping.
But yours are chihuahuas, aren't they?
3 chihuahuas, 1 Jack Russell, one Yorkshire Terrier, and 1 Collie Jack Russell Shih Tzu pug mix.
So I'd probably put them all together and they'd be about Loki's size.
Well, he's a Jack Russell with a Jack Russell head, with a pug undershot jaw and a pug tail, and he's bonkers.
Okay. Although I do know chihuahuas think they're Great Danes, but
I have 3 of them. There's one nice one, and the other 2 are assholes.
Yeah, the amount of chihuahuas that we have go for him, and then he'll just be like,
right, yeah.
Anyway, so I was living with someone at that time, and we had 2 keys for our car. He'd snapped one. I can't remember how he'd broken it, so we only had 1 key. There's a reason I'm telling you this story. Okay. So, been to the service. It was a lovely service. The church was packed out. It was actually quite nice to catch up with some of my old teachers and stuff. Yeah. Everyone's obviously very, very sad. 45, no age. No. And just he was a fit guy. I mean, he played rugby every week. He was a fit guy. I went to go back to my car to drive home to the other side of Norwich. And when I got my car key out of my handbag, this is a proper car key. The car key was twisted 180 degrees and bent over.
Ooh. Okay.
There is no way that could have happened. My bag was by my feet the whole time. It was the summer, so there's no heating on. There was no hot pipe, anything that could have twisted a key and bent it. I don't know if you've ever tried to twist a car key. They're pretty
break. Yeah. You can't physically do it.
No. And this is also before the advent of mobile phones as well, bear in mind, because we're talking we're talking early 90s.
Yeah.
My younger sister was at home. Now, the village was about 1.5 miles away. So I ran to a phone box, called my sister and said, is there any way you can come and get me, drive me into Norwich so we can go to a locksmith and I can get them to see if they can cut me a key?
Yeah.
So Sue was 3 years younger than me. She came and got me. We drove like a bat out of hell into Norwich because it was getting close to closing time for the shops, killing ourselves laughing the whole way because she was driving like a lunatic. The locksmith said, how the hell did you manage this? I can't even straighten it with tools.
Oh my God.
I don't know. Are you sure you drove to the funeral? Well, yes, I did drive there because it was 7 miles away from where I lived. I didn't walk. We got the key cut, got back. Everything was fine. Less than a year later, my sister died.
Oh. What?
Now, so I wonder if it was my teacher trying to orchestrate this amazingly fun memory that I was going to have of me and my sister together, killing ourselves laughing as she drives like a lunatic. Oh. Or was he wanting me not to drive my car at that point because something could have happened? I don't know. But my dad, who is a mechanical engineer, Brunel job, very clever. He got stacks of old car keys and was trying to recreate it.
Okay.
He couldn't. And I have never, ever been able to explain it.
Oh my goodness. Oh my God.
There you go.
That's
stumped
an awful me. That, I mean, it's true what you say. I'm going to say this now. I'm going to say this now. I passed my test. Oh my God, I'm 43 now, and I can remind that I had the first car.
You're a baby. You're a baby, Chris.
I know. I might not look like it, but I don't feel like it either. But the first car I ever had was a Rover Metro. You remember the Rover Metros? I had one of those.
Mini Metro.
Yeah,
that's what my sister was driving. A bright yellow one, which I'd had before. It was bright yellow Mini Metro, a Y-Reg one, and that's what she was driving because I'd had it before. Then when I left home and shared the car with my boyfriend, she took it.
Do you know that's so weird because that's just sorry, Jenny, because that's so weird because I had a Rover Metro van, right, and it was one of the first. It was 1986. It was right old. It was right old, and the reason I say that is because I had to get new keys cut for it.
Oh
because
my God!
The keys are notoriously bad at snapping. They're so brittle, so the key would break. And that when you said it was twisted, I was like, you can't twist a Rover Metro key; it'll just shatter.
Penny, you're the first one.
Well, this car was an Austrian Maestro. Do you remember the Austrian Maestro?
Yes.
The Maestro car?
Yes.
That's what my car was at that time. But we tried replicating it, but the key had twisted and then bent. And
I think you're the first one, Penny, that has me and Chris with our mouths open. Like you.
That was meant to happen.
Yeah. That's exactly what, like I say, whether there's so many things. I mean, it could have been that somehow he knew or fate knew what was going to happen to my sister and wanted us to have an amazing memory. It could have been that fate knew that something was going to happen to me if I did get in my car and drive home and they wanted to stall me from driving. Or knowing Phil, it could have been him just having a really good laugh at seeing how I handled it.
Yep.
So I always say that I think he would be chuffed to pieces with what I'm doing now. He would love it. Yeah. He would be one of my biggest supporters.
And even with that, after all of those years, he's still in memory. He's still in a conversation. He's on a live. His name is on a live. Yes. You know, he made an impression. He made another impression that he did that, and his sense of humor, fabulous.
Yeah.
Sense of humor.
Amazing. That is amazing.
He also never treated me like a silly little girl like some teachers did when I questioned things, and that for me, I say that there was nothing untoward going on. He was just an awesome guy with a real genuine love of history, and that's one of my weirdest experiences I've ever had, and I don't know what it was. There's so many things it could have been with what happened afterwards with my sister, but I can still hear the laughter now, sort of 30 years on, really? Of us killing ourselves laughing as she's whizzing this bright yellow Mini Metro up the A11 into the centre of Norwich. Yeah.
Oh my God. Isn't it crazy the way you have these experiences and they never leave? They never leave you. Your first paranormal experiences and they never leave. I know, I'm sure Chris has some. I definitely have one, and it's just they never leave.
No,
they never leave at all.
Yeah,
but it's a nice memory to have.
It is. It is.
Nice memory to have. But I still want to know why the key twisted. Now I know Chris will be going out tomorrow now with keys, and everyone's going to go out.
Oh no, I can't. Modern cars now have got computers in them, and if you do that, it costs an absolute fortune.
Because I know they just snap, or they just break.
Yeah, but no, I set it up at home, and my dad was so adamant this could not have happened. I set up exactly, I recreated exactly what the scenario would have been in the church, because I remember putting my keys into the top of my handbag, closing my handbag, like a thin leather handbag, so there's nothing. No, the bag is on my, those, I mean, I'm not religious, but the cushions you kneel on in a church. My bag was right next to that in front of my feet the whole time.
Oh my God, that's
nothing was on it. Nothing was touching it.
The only way you would get that to bend, the only way you would really get that to bend is to put extreme heat on it. And I mean, like sitting with a blowtorch. But if you to do that, surely the bag next to you would burst into flames.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, my dad said, was there a hot pipe? And I said, but Dad, it was a leather handbag. If a pipe had been touching a leather handbag,
But even for the twist,
I say that even the locksmith was like, "How did you do this?" And he had it on the I can't think what it's called. You know, the thing they clamp stuff into. He's got the pliers on it. He's twisting it. He's struggling. He's struggling to straighten it. So it was a bit of a
wow. Okay.
I don't know.
It was meant to happen. It was meant to happen for a reason. Maybe your old teacher thought, "Oh, you'll be on a show one day talking about history, and that would be a good story."
Maybe. You know? Who knows? But all I know is he would be one of my biggest fans if he was. I mean, he might be still one of my biggest fans. I don't know. But yes, I think he made a massive. He got me to start enjoying history,
and I love the way they're I love, because I know when I was in school, the teachers weren't dramatic. They were just, and my favorite subject was science, and they were just kind of like, boring, and it didn't get my interest. But I should have someone to be so passionate and dramatic in teaching. That's how you get the attention.
Well, it's one of the biggest compliments I get, for me personally, is when someone comes up to me after one of my talks or reading one of my blogs or reading one of my books and said, "I used to think history was boring. I'm actually quite interested in it now." Thank you. That's and I think I mean, I feel for teachers. Because I've had people say, "Why don't you become a history teacher?" And I said, "No, because I don't want to have to teach it the way they have to teach it. I want people to get a love for it outside of school, outside of the workplace." So, and that's why I do what I do. Yeah,
I love history, and I wish they taught it my history in when I was in school. I wish they taught it the way I love history. Now I'm learning my history. I'm learning my Irish history. I'm learning history of different places. And the Irish history, along with other history, is, as you can imagine, it is a little crazy. It's a little crazy.
Well, I actually studied the Irish question, it was called, for my GCSE O level. So we studied it from the famines onwards. Yeah. And it was really interesting, because at the start of it, the teacher said to us, "Does anyone here have any sympathy with the IRA?" And of course, this is in England when the IRA was pretty profound. I think there was only two of us put our hands up and said, "Yes, we can understand why they're doing what they're doing." By the end of the course, completely opposite, 98% of the kids said, "Actually, we kind of understand what they were fighting for now. Don't agree with it, like killing people, but we understand what the argument is." And I think that is so important, and you may not agree with what they're doing or the motives of something, but that is the problem with history, full stop. I mean, people look at what happened, say, the workhouse. I mean, you heard my workhouse talk, didn't you, Jen?
Yes, I did. Yeah, I did. It was amazing.
Thank you. I argue that the workhouse isn't a prison for the poor. It wasn't. The thing is, when you think of how many workhouses there were around the UK, Irish ones were a little bit different because they were managed a bit differently, but I'm talking about England, Wales, and Scotland, really. This was the early welfare state. The problem wasn't the buildings, the problem was the people running them. So if you take that away and say, well, actually, the theory was sound for what they needed to achieve. They needed to achieve better care for the poor, but not spending so much money. So they wanted it to have a stigma, so people wouldn't automatically go there. But when you look at, if you look at an admissions book of a workhouse and you see the different people who are coming in there, there are people who should be in hospital coming in there. There were people whose family really should have been looking after them coming in there. They were the analogy I use, I can't remember if I used it when I did the talk, but is sometimes everything gets given to the police to deal with. Everything gets given to the police to deal with. Stuff that the police are not qualified to deal with seems to end up on their door. The workhouse was the same.
Yeah.
If the police found a pregnant woman in labour, where do you think she got taken? The workhouse. You know, if they found someone who was showing signs of dementia, the workhouse. So how many people would have died if it wasn't? But because we look at it with today's eyes, it's like, oh, it's awful. And a lot of people didn't like it. Of course they didn't like it. They weren't meant to like it.
It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting you say that.
So it's a similar thing, really.
It's actually really interesting. Oh, sorry, Jenny, when you go.
Oh no, go ahead, Chris. Go
No,
ahead.
it's actually really interesting you say that, because I live next to a World Heritage Site, and it's actually New Lanark Mills. You know what I'm talking about? It's called New Lanark Mills in Scotland, and it's only like 9 miles away from me, and I go there all the time because the place is really haunted. That New Lanark was built, and I actually thought it was a good idea because they had the 2 mills, you had the turbines, you had the River Clyde, obviously. But they also built the shops. The mill ran the shops, they ran the schools, they ran the church. The whole place was like a wee tight-knit community. And obviously now it's more like a museum and stuff, and you can go on like a wee tour and stuff, because I've been a few times, and it's so interesting what went on there. But it's true, like you say, because if that place hadn't been there, what would have happened to these people?
Completely, absolutely. I remember doing an investigation up in the north of Ireland called Limavady House, Workhouse. And I remember there was a poem on the wall saying, do you know it? We did it a few times. It was like rattled my bones or something.
I've never investigated it, but I've researched it. Yeah.
You did? Yeah. Oh, let me tell you. What a place. What a place. It is open now and it's being used. But I remember they had the idiot ward. And it was being used as an office. It's been used now as an office. And we went into, obviously, the bedrooms, you know, where you walk down and it's hay. It was hay for beds. The women's dorms and the men dorms and so on and so on. And I remember getting touched there. And let me tell you, it was an audio. The language was, you know, as it would be when you're touched and you don't know. But it's fantastic when you are. And remember going in, and this idiot ward now at this point has been used as an office. So myself and another person went into it, and we both have children with disabilities. And you can see in this wall, this plastered wall, and you can see the frame, the steel frames on the inside where they would have been cuffed, tied to, or shackled to, and so on and so on and so on. Let me tell you. And I know the person I was with was kind of letting her emotions take over. And I said, leave it at the door. I know it's hard. Leave it at the door, because you're going to lose your train of thought and you're going to say what you think, but not the questions that you need to ask. And it was very personal for both of us. And it was, you know, they now use it as an adult with special needs facility, you know, daycare and you know, for adults with special needs. I haven't been there in many years, but let me tell you, what a place it is. Just, I'd love you to come over, Penny, and you know, investigate it, or even go up and see it.
I haven't been to Ireland for a few years, but I've got a passport. I've got an SEN child as well, so things like that do appeal. But one of the things I'll sort of talk to people about is, yes, the thought of someone being chained to a wall,
right?
Yeah,
but that was actually as much for their protection as it was for other people's, to stop them hurting themselves. And that's what, again, that comes back to the whole, when you look at it with what was available to them then, they were trying to do the best thing they had with the resources they had. And whilst, you know, I mean, there's certain things that I can't find a way to, you know, the fact that Hitler had that program to get rid of disabled children and disabled adults. You know, he murdered them, basically. I can't find a way to explain that away, apart from him being an evil piece of...
Oh, you can say what you want.
Evil piece of shit. He was an evil piece of shit. However, when you look at some of the old, how they used to treat the mentally ill, like we're talking sort of pre-1850, they didn't have the drugs, they didn't have sedation, they didn't have any of that. So they would chain them. They would use straw beds, A, because it was cheap, and B, a lot of people were incontinent. So it meant that they could just change the straw. And when you sort of, yes, with today's sort of how we operate today, yes, it is like, oh my God, they made them sick. But they were undercover, they were getting food, albeit not great food, but they were getting food, and they were safe in most cases.
That's it. Yeah, that's it. When they walk in, and the time and the famine times, and I hate to use that word famine. I'm going to be honest. I hate to use the word famine.
It's not really a famine.
I genuinely, no. I'm surprised I even said it.
What would you call that period then? The potato crisis? Pardon?
Genocide. A genocide where they They
Aye,
would have
'cause
came
it's-
in. They did take on meat. They took on meat. They
Yeah.
took
Yeah,
potatoes. There was a potato blind. So we
there was. They shit on you from a very great height. I agree with that. That's kind of how I explain it to people. Yeah.
Yeah.
They did. And then when we wanted that food back, we had to pay for it, and it was our food, our
I
meat.
know.
So I mean, the word famine, no, it wasn't a famine. It was a bloody well genocide, and I just
Okay.
very strong and passionate about.
Mhm.
Oh Lord, I'm holding my bloody language here tonight now. Yeah, genocide, absolutely genocide.
Yes, it was
Remember,
genocide.
well, with the workhouse, they would go in willingly, if that's the word I'm saying, and because they were, like as you said, Penny, that they were sheltered and food, and when they go in, as you know, that they would go in and sign in the doors and separate, and any children under the age of 3 will stay with mum, and then once they get to the age of 3, they would be taken off to work.
7 in the UK. It was 7. I mean, but again, that's something that when my older son and I, whenever we used to drive to my mum and dad's, we drive past one of the old workhouses in Norfolk, and I would like drop these little things in, and he was, oh, it's not fair. He said, Tom, at the time, my younger son, he'd be able to stay with you, but I'd have to go off. And I was like, yeah, but back then children weren't seen the way children are now. You would be working at the age of 6 or 7, but they weren't expected to work then. They were going to school for 3.5 hours every day. That was actually, and when you think about education, it wasn't until I think off the top of my head about the 1890s before education up to elementary level became mandatory. So the fact that from 1836 onwards, these children were getting taught the 3 R's. And the theory behind it, and again, this is why I say people don't look at it properly. The theory was to break the cycle of poverty, because the powers that be figured if they could read and write, they could get a better job. Therefore, they would break that poverty cycle that their parents were in. So it is a bit of a, I mean, again, that was the rules. Some workhouse masters didn't necessarily follow them, shall we say? But it's a bit like if I always say it's the analogy: is it the gun that kills someone, or is it the person that pulls the trigger? That's the difference. So the thing was fine. The thing it was actually quite a good idea. They figured that the people who were already in that cycle, the adults, they couldn't do anything about, apart from stop them having more children. But the children, they were innocent. It wasn't their fault. So yeah.
I'm going to have a wee look at this. Not quite workhouse related, but a fab book called Madness in Civilization is fab to look. The history.
Yeah, I'll get that. I'll try and get that.
History. I would love to see that. I will definitely. Did you? Because I think that would upset me a lot. It would upset me because they're not always perfect today, but I think that would upset me. I know it would upset me. Yeah,
history does upset me. I mean, it does. Things that have happened in history do upset me. However, I have to try and think, well, what were the options then? What were the choices? What else could people have done? So somebody in the comments has just put, what is the topic? Why are we expressing it?
Ashley, what is the topic and why are we expressing it? We're talking about history. We're talking about oh Jesus! Now you see me writing pen and paper, writing down stuff. Chris, what was the question? Now you have memory, me and Penny don't. What was the question?
What was the? It was about the workhouses we were talking about. They were talking about the workhouses.
The history.
The history of the workhouses. Really, you were talking about there. I think, honestly, I'm going to say this now with the workhouses. I do think they were a good idea, but some of the workhouses were run by
arseholes.
Yeah, basically arseholes. The one near me.
The
one at New Lark, it was meant well because they did have their own school, they did have their own healthcare system. It was all kind of like built into one, but there was a lot of deaths. There was a lot of deaths, especially young children getting sucked into the machinery because they would go in to like fix things and then they wouldn't realise they were there because the graveyard's full of young kids, and they would flick it on and they ended. Yeah,
I mean, in the mills, in the coal mines, you name it. That was. But again, and I'm not condoning it. what was I going to say? Children weren't children. Children were just the means to earn money. Children had small fingers that could get into things. Now, Louisa said about reading novels, Charles Dickens is not a true purveyor of what a workhouse was about or supposed to be about. A lot of what he said. Oh, and if you think arsehole is bad, I can get much worse.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. She said
no,
arsehole.
well, yeah, she said arsehole. So a lot of people base their views on the workhouse from Charles Dickens. Charles Dickens was a self-promoting. He wanted to be. He was a early virtue signaler, I suppose, for want of a better term. I mean, if you read Oliver Twist, I can pull holes in that from a historical perspective, left, right, and centre. For an example, here you go. Here's one example. They talk about the beadle in the workhouse with Oliver Twist. The Victorian workhouse didn't have a beadle. That was the parish workhouse, which predates the Victorian workhouse that Dickens was writing about. So just little things like that. What I say is, the novel. There's an awful lot of people who wrote about being in the workhouse who were saying how awful it was, how bad it was, blah blah blah. But look at what would have happened to them if they hadn't had that resource. There is actually a book. What's it called? It's called An Indoor Pauper by one of them. It's actually written because the thing is, an awful lot of these people who were in the workhouse were illiterate, so they couldn't write what their real experiences were, and it wasn't meant to be nice. Right. But this book's called An Indoor Pauper by one of them, and it was actually written by someone in his early 60s who had to go, and I think it was Poplar in East London, the workhouse he went into. Now, doesn't sound fun by any stretch of the imagination, but this was Victorian Britain. Victorian Britain for the poor wasn't fun. Right. It wasn't fun. It was, you were lucky if you got to eat meat once a week. You were lucky if you had your own bed. You normally shared it with 3 or 4 other people. So when you're looking at what society was like, and I mean, you mentioned about this mill place you were talking about up north.
Was it
no, not Limavady, the other one that Chris was talking about.
Oh, you mean talk about New Lanark? It's a World Heritage Site now because they rebuilt it all.
Yeah. So when you look at the workhouse was the early hospitals for people as well, because it was the only place you could go to get any medical treatment for free before the NHS in the 1940s. Which is why so many of the I can look at an old hospital in a town and tell you if it was the old workhouse. I can look by the design of it, and a lot of them were. So it's why I sort of what people like Dickens and that wrote about in their novels, it was painted to be horrific, because he was virtue signaling. It was one of his passion projects because he was an attention seeker. He wanted attention, and that was how he did it.
Yes.
In a nutshell.
It's true. It's quite interesting you say that because I love history. I've always loved history since I went to school. I was lucky to have a teacher like you. Had a teacher that taught you about history. I was always fascinated with World War II. I was fascinated with the convoys getting sunk with the U-boats. I was fascinated by how Churchill and how they invaded France and how they won the war. But it's quite interesting you say that. I was looking at old pictures. I've got this thing for I like to look at old pictures going back. And I seen one the other day. It was from 1873. And it was a father and his young boy was 3 years old, and they were chimney sweeps. And, the wee boy was lowered. And there's people out there that don't believe in this kind of stuff. And it actually happened. They lured children into rich people's chimneys to clean them. And people think that's a joke, but it actually happened,
That's it, yeah. And I remember in Kilmainham Jail, myself and Louise went there for a tour on the 31st of October, and went for Kilmainham Jail tour. And I knew...
Been there!
I knew the minute I said to Louise when I walked in the gate, and I said, Louise, I'm going to get upset. I'm going to get upset.
Oh, yeah.
And then I didn't. I composed it. I kept it together. And then we were doing the tour, and God bless the tour guide with us, because I'm standing behind taking pictures. I'm coming, I'm taking pictures. I'm like, Louise, keep him busy, I'm taking pictures. So we did all of that, and then we walked by the main part, but we weren't ready to go into it, and we went to a different part where you have all the I'm going to say amazing people. That it's very oh God, Lord, Jesus, Lord, it's very passionate to me. I get very passionate over it. I get very emotional. Like
what the revolution?
Yeah,
the revolutionaries.
Yes, the cells and Countess Macavus, and I've been to Glasnevin Cemetery, and you can see, you can go and pay your respects to these amazing people.
Yeah.
And when I seen her cell, and I was like, holy shit. And we were sitting at the front of the chapel, when they give you the talk first and they bring it down about the chapel, the song is in my mind, and it just won't come to me. But I said to Louise, and I said, oh my God, like, I'm not going to make it through it. I'm not going to make it through it. And guess what? I didn't make it through it. I didn't make it through it. Thank you, Darren. I didn't make it through it. We asked them questions and whatnot, and so on and so on. And I went in taking a lot of pictures privately. You can take pictures, but no videos and no lives and no nothing like that. And then I remember when we went upstairs to the museum at the end of the tour. We went into the execution yard, and let me tell you, when the tour guide was talking,
that wall,
when he was talking, I'm like the Irish version of Kate Hopkins. Like, I will bloody say what I will believe and say what I want to say, and I'm going to say it. If you don't like it, then it's not going to be nothing disrespectful, but it's going to be my thoughts. It's nothing that I'm against people or anything like that. Well, my goodness, you should have. I didn't say anything loud. I was just like, if you could liberate, I was like, no. I was so angry. I was so upset. I was so angry. And you have Italian and French people, and they're kind of like, they could hear me go, and they were looking at me and said, where you're from? And I'm like, Ireland. I'm from Ireland. This is, my place. And then we went into the museum, and I was reading some of the letters, and Louise said to me, Jenny, come around. These are really sad. And I said, I'm reading sad ones here. And she goes, come around and read these. Let me tell you. The people beside me, I was reading the letter, and I can't even talk about it because I bloody well get emotional.
Oh, yeah. You sent the pictures of the place. Yeah.
I did. I have to up on my Emerald Isle page, and let me tell you, I lost it. I wasn't like, whoa, I was just like, you could hear me sniffing, and the girl gave me her last tissue. I don't know where they were from, but they were a couple, and they just gave me the last tissue, and I was just, I knew I'd feel like that. And when I go into locations, I don't feel stuff. I don't feel it. But I tell you now, I just had everything from this building, and I will go back again. I will definitely go back again. And I did say
that.
Nope, there's the cat one.
That execution wall. I know exactly the bit you're talking. The wall. You've still got the marks from the bullets in it, and I think I actually went there.
Oh, sorry. I took pictures of everything. I touched the crosses and I took pictures of them. I like to touch things, and that sounds really bad, but I like to touch them.
No, because I do. My kids are used to it. The family's used to it now. We'll go into an old building and they'll just see me with my hand on the wall.
I do.
For about 5 minutes.
I do that. I touch the wood. I touch the wall. I feel it. I go back into my mind about the people that were there. I'm very much like that. I'm very much like that. And so you've been there. Tell me what you thought about it, Penny, that you've been to.
Well, it was over 20 years ago I went to Kilmainham. Wow. But I'd gone over to, I've been a couple of times actually, but I'd gone over there. I took my mum for a weekend to Dublin. And at the time she was a Samaritan in the UK, and the Samaritans do a program where they go into the prisons and they act as listeners for the prisoners, so the prisoners can offload their, those who are feeling under too, suicidal and everything else. So she was very used to prisons. Sounds a weird thing to say, but she was. And when we walked into the main prison part of Kilmainham, she said, this reminds me of Norwich. prison, which she used to work in a lot. And then when we went into the stone bit, as you were saying, where the revolutionaries were, and I think I was like, holy shit, how could they hold anyone here? This is horrendous.
Yeah.
And then I remember going down to the wall, and I stood there with my hand on the wall. And I vaguely remember saying to my mum, it's no wonder the Irish hate us. Yeah. And there was an Irish person with me, and he said, we don't hate you. We don't. And I remember that when I first went over to Ireland, when I was like 22, 23 to visit relatives out there, my mum was really worried that don't speak, don't do this, don't let anyone know you're English. And I was like, okay. And my relatives they're from Naas, Kildare. Naas.
Kildare. My twin lives in Kildare. I know it. I know it well.
Unfortunately, I don't speak to them anymore. Long story, but that's where they're from. And they were like, no, you'll be fine. You'll be fine because you're friendly. You're not like, I'm British, therefore I'm better than you. And I never got any animosity whatsoever when I was out there. The only time I ever got any animosity being British in Ireland was no usual laugh. It was when there was a spate of stag doos going on in Temple Bar in Dublin, and there were British stag doos. And they were having so many problems with British blokes going over there, getting absolutely trolleyed and trashing these places. They were banning British people from some of these bars. Now, I actually said, can you imagine if we did that here? Like, no Irish or whatever. But my friend said, look, I'm taking you into this bar in Temple Bar. I want you to see it, experience it. You don't speak. You don't order a drink. You don't do anything. And I'm like, no. All right. So I wasn't allowed to speak. But she said, you'll get kicked out because you're British. Even though you're with locals, you will get asked to leave because of how bad it was. But saying that, the fact that there was an awful lot of, obviously Dublin's quite a melting pot, isn't it? Of different. Yeah,
I'm there all the time. It's about 40 minutes away from where I live.
Yeah, I worked there as well for a while as well. So I worked for a company that was based in Dublin. So I used to come over quite frequently when I was in my 20s. But anyway,
you need to get back over.
I do. It's been a while. Anyway, so the thing was, my friend who I took out there with me, she'd broken up with her boyfriend. She needed a bit of good crack. I don't mean crack as in the illegal stuff. I mean Irish crack.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I'm telling that for anyone in the comments who thinks I'm not crack CK at the end, crack ACE, Gaelic crack.
Kind of turn.
Anyway, so I took her out there, but she couldn't understand the accents. She just couldn't understand the accents. Because I worked with people from Ireland, I was quite good. It didn't matter where they were from. Wicklow, Limerick.
Was this in Dublin?
It's in Dublin.
Okay. That's some.
But what I'm saying is, you get a lot of people coming into Dublin from other parts of Ireland, don't you? So you do get you don't just get a Dublin.
Kerry, Cork, Drogheda, where I live.
Yeah, Limerick, Kildare, Wicklow, you name it. Anyway, I was quite good with the accents. I could understand them. And we were out with my cousin and her friends, and one of them, I think he was Limerick. That's the very sing-songy, fast one, isn't it? And he found out that my friend couldn't understand them and assumed because I was British, neither could I. And he was saying he was being very crude to me, and I'm pretending that, and my cousin and her boyfriend can see that I know exactly what he's saying. The other friends could see I knew exactly what he was saying, but I'm going, oh, right, yeah, pretend. And then I can't remember what he said. It was something to do with a very perverse sexual act. And I turned around and went, I'm not doing that with you. Who do you think I am? And his face, and he went, you've understood every word I've said, haven't you? And I went,
I cannot understand Kerry. No, I know one person from Kerry. I understand him a little bit. But Cork, I understand Cork a wee bit. But Kerry, Kerry is a little bit. Limerick, no. A friend of mine lives in Tipperary. And I was talking on phone call with her one night. And her friend come on. And I was like, where's your friend from? He goes, oh, she's from all the way down to Cork and all the way down here. She was in Kerry. What the? No, I'm not. No. They're there now in the garage.
Oh,
She go up the road now. They go up the road. You see if you come up the road, you can take it right off the road. And I'm like, and I said, Susan, I said, what? Listen, what's she saying? And she lives in Tipperary, but she's from Birmingham. And she goes, oh, I can't even do the Birmingham accent.
Birmingham. Birmingham.
Feck, I'm doing
I can't do it myself now. Yeah.
Feck, it's got. I did so many Scottish and Irish and Northern accents. I forget the Birmingham. Jenny, Birmingham. He's all right, Jenny. Our Jenny, and I'm like,
yeah, no, I'm quite good at accents. It doesn't take me long to get my hearing, but it was just so funny that everyone knew that I understood, and I was playing along with him because I was trying to teach him a bit of a lesson. But the thing was, we'd gone to Kilmainham. I'd taken my friend to visit Kilmainham when we were getting a taxi back to wherever it was. My cousin lived Blackrock or something, I can't remember. And she goes, "Can I talk to the driver?" And I went, yeah, "All right then." And he was a Dubliner, but he had a very sort of, he sounded like he smoked 60 a day, his throat. Anyway, hi Jack. Anyway, so he actually said, I'm sitting there in the back, and he said to her, what was it? He said something, and he said, "So are you girls from round here then?" That's what he said. And I went to answer, and she went, no. She went, "Yeah, lovely, thanks." And he looked at me in the rear view mirror and went, "Huh?" And I looked at her and she went, "What did you just ask?" I went, "Really? If we're from round here." And she went, "Oh, I'm going to go to sleep now." She pretended to be asleep for the rest of the drive. So I was nattering away to this driver. And he was like, when I paid him, when we got to my cousin's house, he was like, "Did I upset your friend by?" And I went, "Don't worry, she doesn't do accent. She can't get it. She doesn't understand it." So yeah, I was translating for her most of that trip.
That's funny. And like the Dublin accent, come here, love. No, the 2 for 50 there now, love. Come on, love.
But imagine that with sort of sound as well. It's like, I didn't have an issue. Yeah. I didn't have an issue. But it was just the look. But yeah, so I'm quite good with accents. It's
Do you ever find, no, this is completely out of it. Do you ever find, like, I know when I'm with my friend from the north of Ireland, I come from I sound Drogheda. And then the minute I'm with my friend Aidan from the north, he got, he's so funny. He's going on an investigation with us on the 23rd. And I'm looking forward, because I haven't seen him in bloody ages. But he's from the north of Ireland. And the two of us are like Lauren and Hardy in the car, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. Like, we do live. And he's just a mess. He calls me, "What about you, wee mucker?" And the people in America are thinking, like, "Did he just call you fucker?" And I'm like, "No." "What about you, wee mucker?" Mucker, M-U-C-K-E-R, like friend. And people are like, "Oh my God, he just called our name." And I'm like, "No, he didn't." But when I'm with him, I just get into it. I'm like, "Listen, we're going around this corner now." And he goes, there you go, Janet. You know, you're doing nice. Because I pick up his accent in 2 seconds. No. Yeah. I pick up his accent in 2 seconds. And I'm like, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not." He goes, "Jenny, now. You're picking up I tell you now, Jenny." And I tell you,
when I used to work in Dublin, I suddenly started saying "feck" a lot when I spoke. I'm from Essex. I don't say "feck."
Feck it, feck these, feck those, fuck him, feck her, feck this, feck that, feck the cat, feck the dog, feck the tea, they're gonna starve, feck everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
God. Oh my God.
I tell you, when we get Irish stories, I tell you, it's going mad. Chris, go ahead. I'm just going to say a few hellos.
I was wanting to ask you a question, Penny. Now, Jenny gave me your information before the show, obviously. No.
All good.
I'll say which one, the X-rated one or the approved one?
Well, all I want to know is, and I find this really interesting, is when you were a younger age, you seemed like a strange orb or what it was.
You want my old? You want my Tinkerbell story? You want my Tinkerbell story? Okay, my Tinkerbell story. So I can't quite remember how old I would have been. I have to backtrack this because I know I was walking our golden retriever, and I know we had her when I got to about 10. So I think I must have been about 10 or 11. And we, like I say, the village I grew up in was in the boonies of Norfolk. So it was very safe back then. Very, very safe. Everyone knew everyone. You could go out walking at 10, 11 years old with your dog and not an issue.
You're right.
So my sister and I are out walking the dog. It was a beautiful summer's day. And as you used to do with your siblings, especially the younger siblings, you like to tease them a bit. You like to wind them up. And I used to convince her there was this brick-built shed. We used to walk the dog, and I convinced her the witch of the village lived there. And if she wouldn't go past quick enough, the witch was going to get her and all this. But just along from there was this old, and it was black barn. That's the only way I can describe it. It was like a 2-story barn, and it was black of the ace of spades. It was it looked almost it hadn't been burned, but it looked almost like charcoal, if that makes sense. But it was derelict, and it was derelict for years. And we used to dare each other to look through in the door. Oh, bless. In the door, we used to dare each other to look through the cracks in the door where it was all bolted up. As you do when you're kids. And I remember we were both staring through that, and we saw this light. Now, it wasn't a light shining in. It was brighter than anything I'd ever seen. And it was hovering inside this building that had no infrastructure inside it whatsoever. It was it wasn't. And I remember at the time I was looking around to see there was nothing reflecting into the building. The building was pitch black. But what was so weird is the way this light moved, and the fact it was brighter than anything I had ever seen. So, and it wasn't like floating on the air. It was shooting somewhere. Like I say, Tinkerbell. Yeah. And my sister and I stood there transfixed watching this, and it suddenly flew up to the door where we were standing and just hovered in front of us. Ooh, and then vanished. It vanished. Right. The weird thing was we couldn't move for about 5 minutes. The two of us could not move. The dog had gone to sleep. So I don't know how long we'd been standing there.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
That sounds more like a UFO experience. That sounds more like something that the extraterrestrials would do. Yeah.
Possibly. I call it my Tinkerbell experience because that's what it makes me think of. The way that Tinkerbell, how bright she is in the depictions of it, and the way she flies about, just darts up at you. But it was, and as I got older, I did start trying to debunk it, as you do. Any good investigator does. But and somebody, I think it was somebody from America, said to me, "What about those really bright insects?" Well, we don't have them in this country.
Oh, the fireflies, no.
Yeah, glowworms, fireflies. We don't have those, and also there was nothing there was no light coming into the building. It was within the building, but it was more the way it flew, and also the fact that my sister and I were so freaked out, but not like freaked out, but more like, what on earth was that? We never talked about it. We made an agreement. It messed with our heads so much. So that's my awe.
Do you ever think about maybe taking past life regression in that, or maybe like getting hypnotized? I've done because
Mr. Paul Goddard regressed me earlier this year.
Yeah. Fantastic. I did one as well, and oh my god, I did my oh gosh, there's another one. Sorry, Paul. See, the memory is going.
Yeah, that's all right.
Hypnosis, the most relaxing thing I've ever done. I mean, I've never floated so much that my leg twitched and my hand flopped like a fish out of water to make sure my body was still awake. I was so relaxed.
Yeah.
I mean,
that is Goddard's voice, though. I mean, when I was going to do the and he sent me through the thing I had to listen to prep myself beforehand, I was like, I really would not want to do this without being controlled. I remember saying to the husband, look, I do go under quite easy because I have had hypnosis for like depression and stuff before, and hypnotherapy. Me too. And I do go under easily, even though I'm not a trusting person. I go under easily. And I remember saying to my husband, look, I'm going to be putting myself under to do some prep work for Paul's thing. If you don't hear me moving in about 2 hours, I might start doing that in front of my face.
Go and check me. I swear. Yes, listen, Paul, if you're still watching, if not, because I know you're not well and you could be asleep, we will put your link up after the show. So I'm sure, you can contact him. I have worked with him, as in like he did hypnosis with me as well, and he did past life regression with me as well.
Yeah.
I have to say, and I did say I remember. I can't remember. I can remember, but I can't remember. Like Jennifer, like, are we getting our words mixed up? But I remember when I said one time when Paul was saying, like, he was talking away, and I just said, we are just not going to even. We're going to be asleep by the time whatever we were talking about was over, because it was his voice is fantastic. Sarah, my favorite story, Miss Sarah. Now there is a question from Nando that he gave to me earlier on, which I am coming to. Nando, I have not forgot it. Nando was very proud of his Christmas tree. He put up his Christmas tree. I tell you, that man is so funny.
They're great. Those two, they just, I can honestly say there's an awful lot of people in this chat that I absolutely adore.
Oh, we call them all like Jacqueline Dixon. We have Bobby Fur. I'm saying it right, Fur.
That's one of my friends. He's a tarot reader. Very good tarot reader at that.
Okay. Kimmy, my girl, Kimmy. I love Kimmy. We do like 2 or 3. Me and Kimmy do karaoke. Like Kimmy's in America. It could be like 10 o'clock there, but like 2 o'clock in the morning with me, and we're doing karaoke.
Sarah, what have we done before with karaoke? I'll see if she comes in with who I was. What did we do for karaoke? I'm waiting to see if she's still listening.
Oh, she'll be here somewhere. Who says I'm Fireflies aren't that bright. Anyway, they are tiny. I would let Paul put me under. He knows his stuff.
Definitely, he's brilliant.
Yeah, I might be thinking about it. I might be thinking about it too, because I've got the
Sarah, you're still here.
Come on, Sarah, what did we... we did. Right, so we were at the Festival of the Unexplained, and they had karaoke. I'd already done Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. Sarah was going to do Don't Go Breaking My Heart, and she was the Kiki D. And one of her friends was supposed to be Elton, and they wouldn't get up and sing it with her. And she looked so sad. I went, sod it, I'll do the Elton part. I have never sung that song in my life. I know it, but I don't know it. And we did a rendition of Don't Go Breaking My Heart, and she was squealing afterwards about getting to do a duet with Penny Griffiths Morgan.
I don't blame her. I was supposed to go over, but I couldn't make it over because of I had to do work over here in Ireland. But I will definitely, for the next one, I definitely will go over. Yes, Kim.
Well, I will say I won't be at the next festival, because the weekend it's on is actually my son's 16th birthday that weekend. So I'll be at that.
Oh, well, listen, we have to get yourself, Nando, Sarah, over to Ireland. And have you ever been to Leap Castle?
I have not.
We have Leap Castle booked.
I know you have. I've done a show on Leap Castle. Barry Fitzgerald was my guest when I did a show on Leap Castle. So
you need to come over and do the location, because we have a book for 1 or 2 nights in March. We have officially booked it for 2 nights, but if I can fill it up, then it will be filled up. I'll take no more than 15 people with us, because it is a fantastic location, and I don't want 20, 30, 40 people in, because you won't fit that many people into Leap Castle.
Really?
No, you won't. No, you couldn't. And if you did, you're sardines, and you're not going to get the best. Yeah, you won't get the best. You will not get. I mean, some people have taken in 20 or 30 people, and you can do that.
That's just.
I will never do that. I will never do that. I want people to have.
Well, the Desarios. I'm actually a guest. Their group Portals to the Paranormal. I'm actually the special guest on an investigation they're doing at Kelvedon Hatch Nuclear Bunker next month. I think there's still tickets available, actually, if anyone's interested.
I was like, you fecker. He told me tonight, I was like, you fecker. You fecker, I'm coming over. And then fecker in Ireland means, what does a fecker mean in Ireland? Basically, like, feck you.
You wee little tinker. You wee little tinker, you.
With the EO added into it, you fecker.
Oh,
come over to, if you can, come over to Ireland in March, 28th or the 29th of March. And I'm trying to get Sarah and Nando over to experience it. And then we're doing Redwood Castle on Saturday, but Leap Castle in March 2025. It is, let me tell you, it is one of my absolute favorite locations. What you read, what it says on the tin, it is what it is. It is what it is, and I've got amazing things too.
Yeah. That's what Barry Fitzgerald. That's what Barry Fitzgerald told me when we talked about it.
Right, and I didn't know that. It is exactly what it says in the tin. Let me tell you, it is everything. That's for another show, but the show is about you tonight.
It's got amazing history. It's got amazing history, that
It
classic.
has, yes.
Yeah.
It's a very bloody history. It's a very bloody history, and when people always say to me, Jen, why do you always go to, and Louise, why do you always go to the same locations? You know, people are going to get bored watching the lives. And I'm like,
so good to know you, man.
we researched the crap out of locations for years. We're going to the museum tomorrow, the Drogheda Museum Millman tomorrow night. We have been there for 9 years. I live 5 minutes away from it. I used to go there and school tours. I now know people there that are not, and I always say not all history is written in books because people weren't known. People were not known. So we research and investigate locations time and time again. Doesn't matter if people get bored of it. If you get bored of it and we're doing a live, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Now, I want to ask you a question, Penny.
Go on.
This basically is one from like a Nando. Nando, if you're watching, please raise your hand. So what Nando was saying, well, tonight, he said, Jen asked the question, what's your favorite book that you have written? His favorite book.
Written?
Yes. His favorite book is Paranormal Playtime.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's like asking me to choose my favorite child.
I get that asked every day with my children.
Hey,
lovey.
Oh, I think the one I'm probably most proud of, in a weird way, was my second book, A Haunted Experiment, because it was only my second book. I never expected to write a second book, and it was very different to what I'd done before, like talking about locations and the history, because it was talking about the history of some of the experiments that are done. Yes, Em, you're my favorite child.
Sorry,
it was talking. It was talking about the history of experiments as opposed to the history of a location with an investigation. So I was quite sort of chuffed with how different that one was. But I mean, the weird thing, my favorite book is normally the one I've just written, because it's used all the when I look back at the first stuff thanks, Em. When I look back at the first one I've written, my Haunted History, compared to the one I've just written I'm waiting on it being published, which is called Becoming Peggy, I've learned so much in that process. So you kind of, I mean, I'd say most writers will say their favorite one is the one that's just about to be published. But I look at all of my books and I'm proud of all of them, because I never thought I'd do it. You know, writing a book was something I'd had a goal for years and years and years. And it was the writer Richard Estep who bullied me into doing one, and he unleashed a monster.
I wanted to write a book and I have no idea how to do it, and I have no idea where to start. And it wouldn't be about paranormal; it would just be a life book. But I would have no idea where to start.
Yeah.
And they would, I don't know. Maybe someday. I don't know.
I would, if anyone wants to write a book, I mean, I would say reach out to an author that you like and ask them for help, because most authors, especially the ones who are sort of approachable, like myself,
right.
I love encouraging other people to have a go. I love explaining my process. Now, my process might not work for somebody else, but I'm happy to go through what my process is. So, and I mean, the way I do it is I break it down into each chapter. Each chapter is almost a mini book in its own right. And then it's not quite so, when you're saying I've got to do 50,000 words, it's a bit like, but then if you think, well, I'm doing 10 chapters, there's only 5,000 in each. That's not so bad, is it? You know?
Yeah, I could write my life in one word. Fuck.
There you go, as a good name for a book.
Just one word. Sorry, people. Sorry for the language.
Your mom is blank, and every page it just says fuck.
No,
well, no, you might change it up a bit. You could have fuck this shit. Fuck, what the fuck? I mean, you could sort of.
I was going to say that. Fuck, what the fuck? Today's fuck. What's tomorrow? Fuck today. Sorry, people were saying fuck.
Yeah,
But what the fuck? Who the fuck? These fuck. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck them. Fuck
Oh,
them.
the final chapter. No, the final chapter. Oh shit! You're just to break it up a little bit.
Oh shit! Did
Book
I just
2
say
coming
that?
out next year.
Did I just say fuck? And your whole like 5,000 words later was like, fuck. Sorry, we had to say it. We had to say
They might
it.
make a movie like what you call it, Harry Potter out it, you know.
Oh, yeah, right. Could you imagine? I have another question here. Now, my daughter, who's like 14 years of age, and she's she knows that I was talking about you today, and so on. And she was asking, like, she gave me 1 or 2 questions to ask you, if that's okay.
Okay.
So let me go through. Oh, one of them I liked. How do you handle writer's block?
Oh, that is a good question. I cry a lot. I swear a lot. I go to the gym and throw weights around. First time with the first book when it happened, I did not see it coming. I really didn't see it coming. Now I know it happens. It still frustrates me, but I know I'll get over it. If that makes sense. Right. It's a bit, it's, you know, so, but no, I swear a lot. I have been known to just sit here looking at the screen like this, going,
oh yeah. What do I say?
But now when the block really hits, I turn the screen off and I walk away. Tomorrow's another day. That's the way I look at it. But no, there's still much swearing, much staring at the screen, much getting my pen like literally stabbing the notepad next to me because nothing's coming. But yeah, it gets, because you get used to it, you know it's going to happen, and you're kind of waiting for it to happen.
Okay, let it go through.
Yeah. But no, first time it ever happened to me, I thought I was a total failure. It was actually Richard Estep who I called, and I was like, ah! And he went, it's completely normal. You'll get used to it. Just wait for it to pass. Yeah. So that's, but yes, no, there is swearing. There is yelling at, throwing weights around. That's it. I'm never going to write again.
I'm doing my studying, and I've left my studying for about, I think, 6 weeks, because I'm do you know what's annoying? Why I've left it is because there's one particular subject that I have to do, and I don't know much about it, so I've kind of avoided it. I know, but that's another.
You'll manage it.
I've bloody well I avoided it. Sorry, Chris, you were saying something there.
I was just going to say about, you want to answer that question that came up there for you, because that's a question for you, Jenny.
We've been hearing dog
is it me?
Or Betty's.
May I ask a question, please? We've been hearing dog footsteps in the hall with no dog around. Someone told me something unsettling, that it was like a banshee. They didn't know I'm seriously ill. Can you give me, Bobby, if you can express a little bit more? That did you have a dog that passed away recently or many years ago? What did someone say to you? If you can't say it in public, say it in private to me. Mail me privately.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah. And with the banshee is Toby. Hold on. The banshee. The whole lot of stories being thrown around about the banshee, and I'll tell you exactly what the banshee is about. So don't be afraid of it, Bobby. You can mail me, Jenny Sullivan. You can mail me. I'll put my name in here.
Well, I'm friends with him, so if you want, I'll email your contact details.
You can send. Yeah, I know there's going to be a lot of Jenny's coming through, but yes, PM me, and I will give you. We'll go through what's been happening. And unless somebody knows what they're talking about and they understand the banshee, you can read a lot of books, and people will scaremonger you, and it's not what people think it is. I will say from not my experiences, but I've had in my family home where there was somebody singing outside, and my sister would say to mom, somebody's singing outside, and my mom would say, do not look outside, So of course we didn't look outside. Toby, hold on, lovey, hold on, Toto. So we didn't look outside. If your mother who's in her 60s tells you, an Irish mother, don't look outside, you don't look outside. But I've had the most, and the story is too long, so I will say it to you privately. And when I do another show, I'll talk about my story when I was younger, about things that I've seen. Okay, Bobby, contact me. I will go through everything with you. I'll go through everything with you.
I've just sent you a friend request, Bobby, on Facebook, and I've sent you Jenny's contact details. There you go.
I know you didn't ask me the question, Bobby, but please don't panic. Please don't panic. There's a lot of other things it could potentially be. Yeah. It's one of those things. I think that it's always a demon or a banshee, or it might be something completely innocent that is watching over you, like a spirit of a dog, maybe an old family dog that feels that you need it. So please don't lose sleep over it and have a talk with Jen.
Yeah, that's it. Don't worry about it. There's a lot of stories that goes around about the banshee. And she's not as bad as what people think she is. I'd be more worried about the Grim Reaper, but the Banshee, no. The Banshee, no. I know I shouldn't say that, but the Banshee, no. She's not as bad as she's been made out to be. Okay, I'll get back to that in a second. Another question for you, Miss Penny.
Yeah.
This is from my daughter now, because she's very into writing and history. She loves history.
Okay.
Do you have a specific writing routine or environment that helps you focus? I know she throws those questions out there. She throws those questions.
I don't. Those are absolutely superb questions she's asked. I can just please pass that on to her. Those are brilliant questions. No, I don't. I mean, I'm one of those people. I'm trying to see if I've got any of my notebooks. I make a lot of notes on things. Even though I type things up, I have notebooks everywhere. I love to write my notes down. So for every book I write, I'm looking to see if I can find one of my I think I've put them into storage for now. But for every book I write, I will buy, and this is a bit kind of the I suppose almost like the neurodivergent side of me. But every book I write gets a brand new notebook, every single one. And in that notebook is where I put all my notes for what I'm writing my new book on. So every single one and it won't get used for anything else. It will just be for that new book.
Brilliant.
And so I start writing my notes. It might be like the idea I've got for the title, maybe what I'm sort of thinking the chapters are broadly going to be about. That'll all get written down. And then I start my research. One of the things I always say to people with my books, it's the research that takes the time, but it's also the research I enjoy. Yeah. When somebody say, I'll do the research for you, it's like, no, that's like me buying a bar of chocolate and then you offering to eat it. The research is the bit I enjoy. But then I'll just break it down into what each chapter is roughly going to be about. I actually set up an Excel spreadsheet so I can monitor how many words I've written on each chapter. And then I just start writing. But yeah, I'm trying to see. I must have one.
The next question from my daughter Elsa: what part of the writing process do you enjoy the most? And the research.
It's the research. No, that's not one of my. That's another one. That's from my podcast. I'm trying to find one of my notebooks. I must have one around, unless I put them into. No, it's not that one. I must have put them into storage so that they were. I've got them somewhere. But yeah, so for every book I've written, there is a brand new notebook gets bought, and the notes get written.
You're going to end up putting these into a museum. Hello. A museum at some point. I want to ask you another question as well. And
go on.
So do tell me about your role in Help My House is Haunted.
I was going to ask that.
I'm just going to answer. Can I just answer Ironfire's thing? Is it he or is she Ironfire? Are they he or she? She.
It's a she.
Sorry. I'm the same. I am. Right. So I thought I'd answer this as you were going to talk about the Help thing. So with Help, they have lovely researchers on the show. They don't even bother giving me their research now. Because they know damn well I'm going to go off and do it by myself. I don't trust other people's research. I have been caught out too many times. Hi, Irene. Hi. I've been caught out too many times because the thing is with me, when I research, I don't just research for the answer I'm looking for. I'm going all the way around it. So if someone asks me on a tangent a question about something I've researched, I've got more information. I'm not like, oh, I only found out what year it happened. I don't know anything else.
Okay.
I know a lot more than gets covered in the books or on the show, because I don't feel confident any other way. So I don't trust other people to do my research.
Yeah.
Wow.
So help. I've been friends with Jane Harris for quite a long time. And she contacted me. It was during COVID actually, and said, "Do you fancy doing the history segment on one of the Help My House is Haunted episodes?" And I was like, oh, that's a bit scary. And they told me what the episode was. They told me what the sort of a rough guide to what they thought the haunting might be related to, and that was all the information I got. So I got location. I knew it was a celebrity episode. It was the one based in Epping Forest. And I got a rough idea of what it was. That was it. And they thought it was to do with drowning, and they'd found this case of this woman who'd drowned but no water near her. And I was like, don't like that idea. So I started digging into that. And that's what I mean by doing my own research. And I actually said, well, if you'd gone deeper, you'd have found out she was actually an alcoholic, and she drowned on her own sick.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. Which can happen, can't it? But that was nothing to do with the haunting. What I then found out was the case of the lady by the name of Mary Jane Heathcote, who had been very ill with flu, had had a mental breakdown. Her two little children were also very ill with flu. She was scared that either she would not recover and they would be left without a mum, or they would be poorly for the rest of their life. So she decided to try and take all three of their lives. Now, and that was the case. That was the case I found. And that's what they actually had. I think it was one of the kids' names came through while they were in the house. So, but I turned up to do the, never having done something like this before. I have been on telly when I was 17 for ITN.
Oh my God.
Being interviewed. I was one of the last ever intake to be taken on by Norwich Union back then as school leavers, and I got interviewed because of it. And they nicknamed me then the One Take Wonder, and it stuck. I'm known as the One Take Wonder by TV producers. And so I came with this, like, shed loads of research because I just didn't know what they were going to need. And it went really smoothly. The producer, Ben, said, "You were brilliant. We'll get you back." And I'm like, yeah, of course you will. Because I never believe people when they say that. Proof is in the pudding. Right. And then about 4 or 5 months later, I get another call. Right, we're filming another episode. Would you like to do it? And I think, how many have I done? I think it's about 9 I've done now. Yeah. So I'm so fortunate because the crew is so amazing to work with. All the producers, the camera guys, the sound guy, the production assistants. They're all, and Jane and I just tease each other constantly. We know each other well, and we know each other so well that we just go straight into professional mode, then straight back out of it, if you know what I mean. So that's how I got involved with it, and I absolutely love doing it. They did throw one at me the last episode I filmed, which was back in July.
Nice.
Was it July I did the last one? I can't remember. I think it was July. So time's flown. I got like 5 days notice. Like, here's the case. Can you do some research? And I'm like, but I did it.
Oh, that's, and you're still doing. Now, we can't talk about future episodes, but you are the best and the main historian.
Am I? Oh, thank you. Yes, you do. I have a lot of friends. I'm very good friends with a lot of the other historians, like Bethan Briggs Miller, who's one of the go-to historians on it as well. She's brilliant. But yeah, it's I enjoy doing it, and when I've talked to sort of Ben, who's the executive producer, and talked to Jane and Ian, obviously and Barry guy and everything. Apparently I get called because they know they can trust me, and they just chuck what they need doing, and they know I'll do it.
You get the job done. You get it done. Yeah. You do, and then even your passion and your and you in the show to show that it's fun, it's passionate. when you talk about your history findings of the locations, and you're spot on when they do the investigation.
I know. I don't know how that happens. I've had people say you're coached. You've been coached, and I went, no, I really haven't. I don't know whether I have got some kind of insight. Like, I don't realize I'm doing it, but they had one recently. They asked, it didn't come to fruition in the end because the family pulled out. But they said, we think something to do with I can't remember which Victorian illness it was, not typhoid, cholera. They think there's a cholera link, blah, blah, blah. We can't find anything. 5 minutes, I found a newspaper article about this particular place and how an outbreak of typhoid was traced back to it. Just like that, I found that. And she was like, I'm a professional researcher. How did you find it? I don't know. But these sort of things seem to, whether there's someone trying to make me find them.
I was going to say,
I can promise people it's not. It's really is. Everything is genuine. I know the episode, the Half Moon, Jodie Kidd's pub, when they got someone shout her name was Eliza. I've obviously found the story of Eliza. I didn't know that investigation happened after I'd found the information, and you could hear it. You could hear in real time her say Eliza. It was a DVP. So, but no, I don't know. I don't know how I get these direct hits.
You've got a guardian angel. You've got somebody that sits on your shoulder and helps you. Maybe it's your history teacher. Maybe your history.
I was going to say it's probably Phil. It's either Phil or my sister. One of them going like, just key this in, Penny. Just key this in and see what happens. Yeah. Do you mean sick or sixth? I mean, I have got a sick sense of humour. You know this.
That's so funny.
Oh, Sarah, I love you. I love you, Sarah. But yeah, but I love it. I mean, I do keep nudging the exec producer and saying, can I have a bit more of a show? Can I be on for a bit longer?
You need more because it's when Ian goes in and does his work, and then he's kind of, and everyone is watching at the beginning, and then it happens at the end of it. Oh, listen, my language is like WTF.
Yeah, no, I do. It's a such, but people only see the main three on screen. The people behind the camera are just. I mean, Adi, one of the lead camera guy. They never tell him I'm going to be on an episode, and I hear him squealing my name from across the field when he realizes it's me, and it's just like, they are such a fun group of people.
Oh, Penny, get your behind over to Ireland. Get your beef. Oh God! I mean, the crack in the banter. Sure, feck it. I'll give you a few potatoes, but you better get them back. You got your
Leap Castle. Get to Leap Castle.
Leap Castle, yes, Leap Castle. I know you do. I know. I call it Leap Castle. But yeah, I'll tell you a funny story about the language. When I first went to Ireland, I said to my mum, I said, "Oh, I'm going to visit somewhere called Dunlogair." And she went, "What?" And I went, "No, shush. I said Dunlogair. And she went, "Do you mean Dunleary, you stupid mare?" Oh, yeah.
Even I copped onto it straight away. I
know, but people who don't know it wouldn't, Dunleary.
It's a long word, and it doesn't sound like what it sounds. It's like many Irish names that they don't sound like that.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm talking, I'm talking to Ginger about my house too, Heather. Okay, Bobby, contact me.
I gave him your contact.
Oh, that's right. I'll explain to you.
How my house is haunted. It's so much fun, and I can tell people, hand on heart, I do not get coached on what to find, and as far as I'm aware, it's not what I find is not made up. I have files of evidence to prove the stuff I find is legit.
So when you do your homework, when you do your history, and then it comes through, say, the spirit box, or it comes through, like, I mean, nobody knows. Even Ian does not even know where he's going to. So how do you feel when something happens that nobody has known about?
Well, I can give you an example. The Jake Quickenden episode that was done in Boxted Heath. I don't know if you remember that one. He's the one he lost. I think it was his brother was one of
I do remember it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do remember it.
I knew when they told me it was Boxted Heath. They didn't actually tell me it was Jake Quickenden to begin with. They said it's a sort of celebrity, a reality star celebrity. Okay, fine. And we've got a lot of them in Essex because most of the Towie lot live in Essex. I didn't know Jake Quickenden lived near Colchester. But when they said to me it's something to do with Boxted Heath, now I had a vague, Civil War isn't my field of expertise, but I had a vague recollection that Boxted Heath, there was a battle there during the Civil War. So I was like, oh, okay. And then when they said to me, oh, he thinks he's got a connection to a Civil War soldier. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Don't worry, Sarah. I forgive you, my darling. You can just give me a big snog when I see you next month. It's fine. My Kiki. So I knew there was something to do with Civil War anyway, so I thought, well, that's quite exciting. And then I just start digging, and I was finding out the information about what happened at the Battle of Boxted Heath. I went to the archives at Essex. I pulled up original documents from the 17th century that talked about what had actually happened and all that. I'm in my element doing all of this. And then I found an article from 1930 about the old farmhouse that when they were doing some work on it, they found a secret room. And when they went into this secret room, they found a loft hatch. And when they opened the loft hatch, the skeleton of a Civil War soldier still in their uniform fell down.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, oh, this is quite cool. Then I transposed where the farmhouse had been onto a map of where Jake Quickenden's house now was.
Oh, holy
bang
crap.
over. I will admit there was some little squealy swear words and
listen, Penny, those who know you. Those who don't, we know.
I am the sweary historian, I admit it.
I'm very Irish. I'm the sweary Irish.
Well, when I talk about Charles Dickens, when I talk about workhouses, I do call him, I think I called him a wanker last time.
You did.
Yeah, and people go, did you just call Charles Dickens a wanker? Yeah.
I was there. I seen it. I heard it.
I
can't think of any other word.
In a different way.
Don't get me wrong, I do love some of his books, but just don't take them as historical literature. Anyway, the point was when I found out this house was completely overlaid. Now, what was interesting is production knew I'd found this. They didn't tell Jane. And so when Jane and I are doing our blurb outside Mary at the Walls Church in Colchester, which is kind of supposed to be linked to the Humpty Dumpty, because Humpty Dumpty is meant to have been one of the guns that the royalists were using, which they had mounted on the top of this church, and it was being fired by One-Eyed Jack. Now, One-Eyed Jack is documented as existing, and I start telling her about this soldier having fallen, and her face was like,
the nursery rhyme came from.
Well, it's meant to. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again because from what I remember, the parliamentarians came up the river into Colchester, firing everything they had at the church because he was taking out everyone with this gun, and the gun broke. I think he died, and he was the only one who had to operate this gun. Something like that. So
I remember.
When I find out stuff like, I can't make it up. I can't make that sort of stuff up, and the fact that
goodness.
Maybe Jake was actually this Civil War soldier had crawled into, because the royalists were hiding from the parliamentarians there because it was a parliamentarian area. So that sort of thing. Yeah, I still go when I find this stuff out.
I'm going to give you a nickname of Wikipedia. Wikipedia, because girl, yeah, bloody no. I mean, there's nothing. You even know the locations that I mentioned here in Ireland as well. Come in jail.
I just get bored very easily. I get bored very easily, so I like to find stuff out. I'm one of those people. If I don't know something, I need to find it out. And I just love to learn. I love to
know.
Yeah.
Even my daughter Elsa, and I have to say very quickly, my daughter Jessica's upstairs. Sorry, Jessica, if you stop watching, but she goes, hello, Mama, it's me, Jessica. You look fabulous. She's upstairs in her bedroom.
Aw.
my daughter, she's 21, bless her, wee heart. She's very funny. She's a sense of humor like me. The two of us are just...
God help us.
she's probably worse. And why worse? As I got older, I got worse. Actually, as I got older, I got worse. I know, but she's just funny. She's very funny. And you know what? I absolutely, completely, and utterly forget what I was talking about.
You were saying I'm calling me Wiki P.
I'm calling you Wiki P because I swear to you, there's like Limavady, like Limavady. And
it's a workhouse. It's a workhouse, and it's got documented. It's got documented hauntings. So I've talked about it before in one of my workhouse talks. And Kilmainham, it was just.
But we have to get you to Lep Castle.
Pardon?
We have to get you to Lep Castle.
You do have to get me to Lep Castle. Yes.
We have 2 dates in March.
I've written
28 and 29. 28 and 29 tomorrow.
I've written them down.
Oh, you did. I can hear.
I did.
My daughter heard me talk. Jessica. Jess. I can hear her walking now because she's probably still watching her mother.
Penny.
You did. Let's see. Get you over to Lep Castle.
We'll do my best. We'll do my best. What would you like to say, Chris?
I was actually going to ask you if you to investigate anywhere, or what would be the best place that you've always wanted to investigate or research that you've not had the chance yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Well, I'm a bit of an aviation nut. I love my aviation, like pre-1950.
Yeah.
Wow. I also reckon that had I been around in the 1940s, Wing Commander Guy Gibson would have proposed to me.
Yes.
Oh my God.
So RAF Scampton for that reason.
Mm-hmm.
However, just recently, you may not have heard of the Wolf's Lair in Poland.
Yes, I have. Yeah.
That's on my to-do list. That's on my. I'd love to get out there sometime.
The Americans and the British were trying to destroy that, but because it was so much concrete,
it was so fun. Exactly. And I did write an article on it for Haunted magazine not so long ago because someone I know one of the beauties of doing both paranormal and history is I have a foot in both camps. So I know a lot of brilliant paranormal people. I know a lot of brilliant historians. And I use and abuse them all as much as I can. And one of the brilliant historians I know, she's British Polish, but up until quite recently, she was one of the Auschwitz historians. She worked and researched at Auschwitz, and she was very sort of like ghosts, and I do my whole paranormal doesn't necessarily mean ghosts; it means things that you can't explain, blah blah blah. But fine, ghosts, that's fine. Yeah. And she was telling me that her view on the paranormal changed after visiting the Wolf's Lair, because you can actually stay there. That one of the bits is still intact, and you can actually hire bed. Have you been there, Chris?
No, but I've seen. Okay. I love World War II stuff, and I've been watching a lot of programs about it and how haunted it is. Yeah, well, her and her dad stayed at the Wolf's Lair in the area that you can sleep in, which I believe is where some of the soldiers would have slept who weren't in the inner circle, Hitler's inner circle, but were still there to protect it. And her dad woke up in the middle of the night and saw a Third Reich Wehrmacht soldier stood at the end of his bed. And ever since then, they've believed. So I'm playing with the dog, in case you wonder why my arm's flinging around. Like, I don't know if you can. There you go. Loki, come here.
Ears earlier. I could see ears earlier. Oh,
there you go.
Absolutely stunning. I seen his ears earlier.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But yeah, I'm trying to play with him because otherwise you can see his ears coming in then.
He's 3. He's young. He's 3, is he?
Yeah, he's 3 next week, actually, as far as we know, because obviously rescue, we don't know exactly how old, but we're pretty sure he's 3 next week. Yeah. What was I going to say? Yeah, so that changed her view on it, and again, it's the history of the place. I mean, it's also how, as you say, the fact that it's got like an inner circle, then an outer circle, then an even outer circle. How well constructed it was that despite the total and utter aerial bombardment, it's still standing. I mean, it's like the German engineering.
Yes.
Even go back to World War I with the trenches. It's phenomenal.
I mean,
absolutely phenomenal.
I find it fascinating because the British And because my uncle was a colonel in the army, and he would tell me all about this. He was right into the kind of military stuff, and he was always telling me about that kind of thing. And he told me about that bunker, and he told me how the British and the Americans took a lot of their leftover explosives, planted it all around about it, and it hardly damaged it. It cracked some of it, and it broke some of it, but it didn't destroy it.
No,
and then
it's
they
still
just
there.
thought, yeah, we'll just leave it. Bugger it. Let's just leave it alone. And they just left it there.
Yeah. It's still there. But yeah, so that's one that I'd love to visit at some point. But I mean, there's so many places I'd like to visit, not necessarily to do an investigation at, but just to see. I mean, like I'm doing a lot of work on World War One at the moment. I'm actually doing a talk. I'm doing a talk next week to a school. It's a friend of mine's the librarian there, and she sort of mentioned me to someone. They were like, "Oh my God, we'd love to meet her." And so I'm going there to do a talk, and it's going to be on World War One, but not just I said, well, I'll do some of the history just to throw things in that they may not know. But I'm also going to talk about some of the weird stuff. So like the Angel of Mom, the White Cavalry of Bethune, the Sandringham Regiment who disappeared. And so I'm really digging into World War One at the moment. And I'd love to visit some of the trenches, some of the battlefields, just to pay my respects more than anything, just to sort of. Yes, Mary Marvan. You read my blog today, didn't you, Sarah? Isn't she amazing? Mary Marvan was a French female pilot. I've got a blog on my site. I wrote about it today. She's the first ever woman to fly in combat.
Oh my God. Oh, look, she's laughing. She did.
Yeah, I know she did.
Give me like 2 seconds. My daughter's calling me. 2 seconds. My daughter's calling me, but I do have a question when I come back to you now.
Okay. You need to write it down.
I did.
So those are some of the places. I mean, the thing is, I mean, I've so many places. The thing is with me that take me anywhere that's got a history.
Yeah.
And I'm happy.
See, with World War One, I find it fascinating. I actually watched a programme in it the other day how they got miners for the
tunnelers
to tunnel underneath and then planted lots of explosives.
That's correct. Yeah. So a lot of the craters you see aren't from bombs coming that way. They're from bombs coming from under. If you've ever read Birdsong by Sebastian Faulks,
I've heard about it. Yeah.
Yeah. Read that. That even though it's a novel, and what I said about novels, it was that book that my mum got me to read it years ago. And it's one of those that the first quarter of the book, you're a bit like, God, this is really heavy going. And then you get past that and you can't stop. And one of the accounts he follows is of a tunneler who, they would dig under each other's trenches. If you've ever watched Peaky Blinders, that's what those guys in the series, not in real life. Peaky Blinders in real life were nothing like the series, but in real life, in the series, that's what those guys were. They were tunnelers in World War One. That's why they were quite traumatized. I
think with wars in particular, the history that you can learn is absolutely amazing. But at the same time, obviously, a lot of people died in World War One and World War Two. And I find that World War Two, I mean, I find it very interesting. I was lucky. I've met a lot of soldiers that are now passed. There was one in my village died the other day there, and he was 104.
Yeah.
And he fought in the battles where I think it's in the deserts where against Rommel and the tanks. He told us he would see the tanks driving and the explosions, and he was with a crew that would go in and look for survivors and stuff like that, and then try and salvage stuff. And I'm lucky to have met people like that because they're gone now. Yeah. And it's sad because I think we need to learn more about the war. Because we don't want, obviously, if that to repeat again, a world war again would be more horrible because of nuclear weapons and stuff like that. But I think there's so many stories out there. I mean, there's still tanks to this day lying in the Sahara Desert. Yeah, German tanks, British tanks, American tanks, just lying.
Well, you look at farmers in France who farm near where the trenches are. They're still digging up stuff. They're still digging up weapons. They're still digging up artifacts. There's still bodies, coming up and they're still identifying people. It's just because it's over 100 years ago doesn't mean it stops. And what you're saying about I've never actually met anyone who fought in World War One, but I have met working in care homes like I've done for years now. I have met people who funny enough, I've met mostly pilots. I don't know whether that's me, but I've met Lancaster pilots and crews from Lancasters. I've met World War American bomber crews.
My gosh.
My grandfather met Douglas Bader after the war.
I don't like him.
You know who I'm talking about?
I do know who you're talking about with Bader. He's the Charles Dickens of the aviation world, as far as I'm concerned.
I've met him. I'm more into the military aspect of things. I'm more into the kind of tanks and the kind of invention of the tanks in World War One, how it was invented and stuff.
Little Willie. Little Willie.
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, Little Willie?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Oh, I taught my husband something about tanks. He didn't know the other day that there were male and female tanks. He didn't know that.
Really?
Depending on the weaponry they had, they were classed as male or female. That's the easiest way to explain it. There's a bit more to it than that, but they were male or female. And the Mark I tank, the rhomboid-shaped tank, which you associate with World War One. Do you know how fast it travelled?
Oh God, it wasn't that fast. I know that.
3 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Because it was designed so it would go slow enough so the infantry could be walking behind it as they would.
Oh my God! Oh geez.
So that's the kind of facts that the kids next week are going to be learning.
I think it's honestly. I think it's more people need to learn about World War One because people don't realise. Have you heard? If you go to YouTube, I think you can find it there. There's actually recordings of World War One of the guns firing, and then when Armistice was struck, the guns stop. And you can hear the birds coming out, and you can hear the tweeting, and that's.
I've been watching on My 5. They've got I think it's a 4 or 5 part documentary of. I don't know who did the voiceover because they pronounce eepers, so not even wipers, eepers.
Yep.
And even the husband goes, "That's eep, isn't it?" Oh yeah. Yeah, so I think it was an AI voiceover, but it's actual footage. It's actual footage of stuff happening, and. Those. The kickback on those big guns. Yeah. But what I try and do is I'm doing this talk next week. I've done a similar talk, albeit for a younger age group at my son's old school. I want to do these talks for people because if I can get these kids to be interested the same way that I was because of my teacher having that enthusiasm, they will then go off and read for themselves. And that's what they need to do. They can't. I don't give them everything. I give them just enough that hopefully there's enough variety in what I'm telling people. Oh, that's interesting. Like mentioning Mary Marvan today, somebody might go off and start reading up on her.
Yeah, I actually read up something that you had posted up today. It was about, and I had to write it down.
Go on. Send your friends request so I can see all the.
And I know, and I. What do you think, Chris?
I'll need to send you a friend request so I can see all these posts that you put up.
Oh,
well, you need to go. You do that, but also go onto my Facebook page. It's called Haunted Histories.
Right.
I have it on the link. I have it on the link and the thing. Oh, you're taking my cut back into me. Great. Because if anybody knows, I know. You okay, Lovey? Oh, my daughter's here with me. Talk to the dogs. Anyway. Catherine,
which daughter is that? The one who asked the brilliant writers questions?
No, this is Jessica.
Oh, that's Jess, the older one.
Hi. This is Jessica who was saying, "Hi, Mom, I see you. You look so pretty." Her back. She's complaining about her back. I'll give you a hot water bottle in a second. Mommy's duties never end.
No,
the joys.
We're going to go to the chiropractor.
Yeah,
the chiropractor. We're going to the chiropractor. Okay, are you ready to sing?
No, I mean like the background sounds.
I know. Okay, leave your bum over there and talk to the dogs. Look. Oh, Jesus, anyway, Castle. Oh, thank you. Oh God, drama. Like, oh my God. Anyway, sorry for interruption of my beautiful daughter. Castle Stirs. How they were built and what stories that we've given about them and what they really are.
Yeah. Well, what I'm trying to do at the moment on Haunted Histories is I have noticed that there are an awful lot of pages at the moment slagging people off. And And yeah, I mean, I've seen it. There's somebody in the States who he's created a list of 10 locations. He says are hoax locations and everything. And I've seen people sort of slagging other people, and I'm getting a bit fed up with it on social media, if I'm completely honest, because nobody seems to say nice stuff about anyone anymore. So a couple of weeks ago, I started on Haunted Histories. I did a whole week of it, of complimenting things that I'd read or seen or heard that I really liked. And what I'm inviting people to do now every Friday is do the same. Is pay someone a compliment. I mean, it's nice when it's me they pay the compliment to, but it doesn't have to be. Also, don't pay yourself the compliment, because that's kind of a bit arrogant. Right. But it was that video that I'd watched, because James Wright, who's the expert in that, he's brilliant. He has a company, I think it's called Triskelly Heritage, and he's an archaeologist, and he comes in and sort of says, well, actually, no, you know this pub that you say is 950 years old? Right. The building's 300 if it's a day. And he'll come in and he'll explain it. And I just thought, I just love the way he explains stuff. And he's you know, even for a PhD and everything else, he's not arty-farty about it. He's quite sort of easy. And so the staircase thing, because I used to think that's why they spiraled that way. It's so right-handed, but it's a load of hooey.
That's all we know from in Ireland, where you go around, and it's are some castle stairs that are easy to walk up, not easy, but easy to walk up more than others. And I know the one location we're going to next Saturday night, I am talking to my knees. I am prepping them, you know, because shit is going to get real. You know, I've got my knee pads ready, and I'm like, I'm not picking up any wood from downstairs. You all go get it yourselves. And it's just, those staircases are not for the faint-hearted.
Well, my balance goes like crazy on those staircases, and so whenever we go into one, my husband, because he's a roofer, so he's like a part mountain goat. He always goes in front of me when I'm walking down them, so that I can hold onto his shoulder, because there's not always handrails. But you're talking about stairs. When I did the Festival of the Unexplained recently, I had to be one of the team. I led one of the teams at the Galleries of Justice in Nottingham. You want stairs? There's nothing but bloody stairs in that place. And I was so glad I'd been hitting the Stairmaster in the gym, because I was actually able to keep going up and down them, whereas everyone else is like, I'm going to sit this one out if I've got to do stairs again.
You could crack an egg off my arse the next day, and it's solid. A raw egg off my arse, and it's solid. And I tell you, the lady who owns the castle we're going to next weekend, she's in her 70s, and she's up and down those stairs, like carrying up bags of logs. And I said, give it to me. She goes, oh, no, it's grand. I said, oh, my knees. And she goes, oh, your fecking knees.
Yeah, no, I'm fine going up those things, but coming back down them, but because my balance goes, my equilibrium, whatever it's called, goes. Hence, the mountain goat walks in front of me.
Going up them is kind of like, I remember going up them is very painful for my thighs and my gluteus. Going down them, and I remember doing a private, quiet video when Aidan was in the Red Room, as we call it, the Red Room. It was kind of like echoey, and he does opera singing. So I'm kind of going down silently, videoing him, and all you can hear was that was my knees.
We need to get you back in the gym, kiddo. We need to get you lunging and squatting and all of that kind of stuff.
I'll do anything, but I won't do lunging. I'll do squats like until the cows come home, but I won't do lunging. I have fallen out. I will go.
No, you won't. Not if I'm teaching you.
And that's why you are my every morning, wake up, get the fuck up, and don't order McDonald's for breakfast, Jenny, and get a workout done for even 45 minutes.
All right.
Oh shit, did I just say that out
loud? This is on. People in the comments heard that. Chris heard it. You want me to wake up, shake up every morning. I don't know how early it will be in the morning, because I like my lion.
Anytime after 12.
Well, if we're talking 12 midnight, that means any time up to 11:59. Yeah.
No.
If you wake her up at say 11:59 a.m., that should be sufficient.
Oh lordy, I will do my best. I will do my best. Anyway, swiftly back to the question about the stairs and why they had those stairs and that that pillar in the middle. You know, that bit in the middle, and what we have now is like a rope that we hold on to when we're walking up, but you wouldn't have that back in the day. Which made
Bear in mind their feet were smaller. And that sounds a really strange thing to say. Think about their feet would have. If you go into the museums and you see the shoes, their feet were tiny.
Yes.
Yeah.
So their balance would have been. They would have had a different center, and they would have been shorter themselves. You know, bear in mind that Edward the Fourth, Edward the Fourth, Richard the Third's brother, he was classed as a giant because he was over 6 foot.
Oh, Jesus.
So, I mean, he was incredibly tall for his time. So when you think about that, just think about the sort of, again, going back, socioeconomic, everything else, people weren't as big, which is why the doorways are a lot smaller. It wasn't just the fact they couldn't build them any bigger. Everything was smaller. So those stairs wouldn't have felt quite so claustrophobic and short because
they just felt bigger. And no one's bigger. And we find them we find them now today. I remember I'm thinking of I will say Redwood Castle where we're going next Saturday night. Can I wait for it? We have an investigation tomorrow night in my location. But Redwood Castle, beautiful location. It's one of my many favorite locations. Leap Castle, those stairs are a little bit more easier than Redwood Castle. There are higher steps, and that's a workout. That is a workout. That is some workout, and we know those bloody works out. And you have the rope, and you hold on to it. And I'm doing it live, and I'm like, "So we're here," and I'm like,
"No, you see, this is where the psycho in me. I'd enjoy going up them because I'd be treating it like a workout. Coming back down them, I'd be like, I'll just leave you all. I'll stay up here."
Well, I do that, thinking like it's good for the arse, it's good for the ass, it's good for the and I'm walking up, and then you know when you're walking up and you're doing a live, and sometimes you hear me go, like I'm trying not to breathe too heavy, like I'm really heavy breathing, and you hear it. That's me taking my inhaler. I'm taking my inhaler. I'm like, and I was like, so anyway, so we're halfway up there now. Louise, can you hear me? Have you got the lungs for the fire, Louise? And then we're walking back, and I was like, Jesus, that was a long walk. And it could have been like about 30, 40 steps, but that's castle steps.
Well, I have a knack of when I'm doing tours, when I've done tours for like the festival and other things, and they've said to me, we're running out of time, speed up. I am walking backwards whilst doing a talk, telling everyone all these facts about the place at speed, and I'm speed marching backwards to get us back to the bus on time. And I must admit, I get back after 5 minutes of not breathing, of just talking at a rate of knots. And it's just like, one second.
I just can't do it. It's like you're walking up a big hill in front, and people are in front of you. And I remember sending this to my twin because we know exactly what this is about. So there's people walking up a big hill in front of you, like the stairs and the castles and so on, and you're pretending you're like you're grand, you're good. You know, yeah, we're doing great, we're going great. and like really, and like my lungs are burning. I'm like, what's that noise? Like my inhaler. Like, it's all good, we're all good. Like, let's keep walking. And me walking up through the
tank.
No, I just finished my like 2-hour talk or my hour-long talk, and I'm just like, drink water now.
I'm like, I'm not doing it no more. But you know what? I now, God bless Louise. Now, if Louise is still watching, I don't know if she is or not, but she's watching. You're doing that live on Saturday night next week. Get up the stairs, not me. Well, there's two stairways. There's two stairways in Redwood Castle. What we call the easy way and the stairs way. Both of them are not easy. They are not easy. So
just treat it like it's your gym. It's just your gym workout for the day.
You've
done your glutes workout for the day. That's all you need to look at it.
I do. And then I did the rest of like, you know, what we're going to order in to eat tonight. But we are over our time of our show.
I had a feeling that might happen.
Me too. Penny, me too. Because I know we like to talk, and I know I like to talk, and I know we like to talk history, and we like to talk. And Chris, like, I can't feel my legs, Jenny.
I can't actually feel my legs. I actually feel like I've been wounded in one or something. I can't feel my legs. I can't feel them.
I knew he wouldn't. But that is coming to. Penny has frozen for a wee bit.
Yes, for a second there, I thought she was doing like the Colgate advert there.
Oh my God!
The system just switched off. Then that was very weird.
We were saying, did you hear what we were saying? Did you hear what we were saying? Like you were smiling, and you're smiling.
And I said you were doing the Colgate advert.
No, it just everything froze, and then the whole screen went off, and I'm like,
okay.
Shoot.
Excuse me.
Someone's got bored with us. They want us off air, obviously.
Next, then we're probably getting reports and whatnot. I have a million more questions for you, but I will do it at another time. I'd even do it with you privately at some point. But they are. I'm looking over them now, and I'm trying not to ask you one because I know Chris will fucking kill me. Sorry.
Is she allowed to ask me one more, Chris?
Can I ask one more?
Is she allowed? One more.
Okay,
go on.
One more. Okay, one more. Let me. Okay. Okay. Okay, what books or authors have inspired you? And that's from my 14-year-old daughter, Elsa. What books or authors have inspired you? I know she's a 14-year-old. Listen, busting her asses.
One of my favourite fiction authors is George Orwell. 1984 is one of my favourite books of all time.
Yep.
I love that dystopian type stuff.
Yes.
When it's done well, like Fatherland by Robert Harris. What was it called? I think it was James Herbert, 47. I know he's a horror writer, but his horror is stuff that goes on behind closed doors that could be plausible. It's not kind of, it is like real monsters as opposed to fabrication. Yeah. When it comes to sort of, let me have a look at my bookshelf a second. James Holland, the World War II one. I love him. Same with Al Murray, who does a lot of work with him now. You've got people like Alison Weir. She's a really good history historian. Writer. Who else? Oh, there's loads. There's really loads. I mean, I can't really. Claire Mully. Claire Mully is another one of my favourites. She's. I know her name. You know the name. She wrote a book called The Women Who Flew for Hitler. Yes. And it's one of my favorite books that I've read. It's worth reading. And when I promoted it once on Haunted Histories, and somebody really kicked off saying I was promoting Hitler and everything else, I was like, just because the word says Hitler doesn't mean I'm saying yay Hitler. No, the book's brilliant. It's about two women. One of them is Melita von Stauffenberg. Her husband was Klaus von Stauffenberg.
That's right. Yeah.
Whose brother, Operation Valkyrie.
That's right.
Yeah. See, now I could listen to you all bloody day. I could listen.
I find
she's brilliant. She's brilliant. She's also written. I mean, she wrote that one. She's also written. That's another one of hers. A Spy Who Loved. She writes a lot of history books on war stuff. But she's really good.
Mary Shelley.
Now you see, I admire people like Mary Shelley because of breaking the sort of the ceiling that she broke.
Yes.
Victorian literature I find very hard to read. I find it a bit too wordy.
Oh wow!
Kate Sherrill and I have discussed this because she studied Victorian literature, like Gothic literature, and I said I find it a little bit too. I mean, I've read Kenilworth and things like that, but I find it a little bit too much. I must admit, when I read literature, when I read fiction, it's to get away from the research, it's to get away from all the history stuff I read, it's to get away from that side of thing. But yeah, author-wise, I'd say George Orwell is probably one of my top fiction writers, I would say.
Elsa would love that. I know when I was talking to Nando tonight, and Nando was saying to me, maybe Elsa should host my show for me because she loves her history and she wants to be a dentist. And I said, so dentures are very expensive. I get free dentures.
Mm-hmm.
We'll go with that.
Yeah, if she's got any history questions she wants to ask, just shout away.
Do you know where she went on holidays? Sorry, Chris. You know when my daughter went on holidays last year and this year? She went to Switzerland last year. This is her choice with her dad, who I'm very good friends with.
Mm-hmm.
She wanted to go to Switzerland. No holiday boppies for young 13, 14-year-olds. And then this year, summer just gone, she went to Germany because that was her choice of holidays. And I'm like, listen, this is my creation, this is mine. She wanted to go to Germany. I want to go to Ibiza, but my daughter wants to go to Germany. And I went to Canaries and she went to Germany, and she went to, and in both countries, she went to Austria, and in Switzerland, she went to France, all in with her dad. Her dad is a great dad. One of my best friends. He's a fantastic, fantastic guy. And he brings her to wherever she wishes to go to. And I love that she's 14 years old.
Encourage it. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And I did have one person before it goes, Jenny, why is a 14-year-old wanting to go to Germany? Like, why are they not having fun? And I said, you bring it to history class and you watch my daughter jump ahead of the box.
I know Chris wants to say something, but I'll tell you a similar story. A similar story for Chris speaks. When it was I think it was my husband and mine's. I think it was possibly our first or our second wedding anniversary. I can't remember what it was. And we always just try and do something on our wedding anniversary, not just go out for dinner or whatever. Something anyway. And he said to me, "What do you want to do?" And I made the choice. And when he was chatting to some of his mates, and they were, what are you doing for your anniversary? Are you going into London, going to see a show? And he went, no, we're going to Duxford Air Museum. And he was like, mate, you could have done something Penny wanted to do. And he went, are you winding me up? That is what Penny wanted to do. So, yeah, I mean, my ideal day out in London, Imperial War Museum in the morning, Churchill's War Rooms in the afternoon, and then go out for a pizza. That would be my ideal day out.
That sounds brilliant.
See, that is it. Don't do what people think you need to do. Do what you makes your day.
My ultimate idea of hell would be a spa day.
Oh, God.
Listen. No. As long as someone can scratch my back, I'm good. Unless I feel like an elephant against a tree, scratching my own back, for Christ's sake.
No, spa day would be my ultimate no. Anyway, Chris, sorry, you wanted to say something.
It was on the subject of the dystopian future at George Orwell, 1984. That was very, very good book. Very good book. I do find the books better than the movie. But have you ever heard of that? I've told people about this book, and people I've never heard of that before. And it was called Fahrenheit 451. Have you ever heard about that? And it's a dystopian.
Read it.
Yeah, and it's a dystopian future. And it's a dystopian future where books are illegal.
Are burned, because that's the temperature they burn them at, Fahrenheit 451. Yes, I've read it. Another one that I found really good is by Ben Elton, and I've just completely forgotten what it's called. But it's a society where nobody gets vaccinated anymore. You're meant to wear as few clothes as possible, like literally hot pants. You're meant to pose for photos all the time. It's brilliant. And if I remember what it is, I will message you. But I've just completely forgotten. I've completely forgotten what it's called. But it's really good.
Forever. You two could have a conversation forever. I'm more conversation about Ireland, and that's my forte. There is, I know, but I'm not too knowledgeable about it. But I do know. But my forte is Ireland. Obviously, come on, obviously.
Oh, I love the war stuff. See World War I, World War II. I love history. World War II is probably that's what I did at the school, mostly at the school.
You need to read Birdsong. Birdsong. Before we go though, can I just do a bit of a plug for myself? Is that all right?
Girl, this is your show. This is your platform.
Okay.
You do.
So if anyone wants to buy any of my books, they're all available on Amazon, or you can message me directly on Haunted Histories, and you can buy a signed copy if you want one. I'm not doing as many Paracons next year because I kind of burnt myself out this year doing as many as I did. So next year I'm going to be doing Neil Packer's Parameet next May. I'll be there for the whole weekend. But for anyone listening who's from America, if you're East Coast way, Penhurst Paracon in May, I will be there. I will be at the Penhurst Paracon. I'm not nervous at all. 6,000 people they're expecting through the door.
Yes, Girl, I've spoken to the 40 people, and I was like, I couldn't get my words out. Send me the links, and I will put every single link on.
Thank you.
And
so if anyone's looking for an investigation to do in December, check out Portals to the Paranormal, because I will be at Kelvin and Hatch, which is one of my local places and one that I've done quite a lot. And it's weirdly, even though a lot of people get freaked out in there, it's actually one of my favorite places. I could quite happily I've spent the night in there and it doesn't faze me at all. But it's a very, very cool place, and the history behind it, relatively modern because it's 1950s onwards. Fascinating place. But I think they've still got tickets if you go and check out Portals to the Paranormal. And then who knows what's going to happen at the beginning of 2025.
Ireland.
I was waiting for that.
She's going to feckin' Ireland. She's going to feckin' Ireland.
You want me to do you want me to do the live going up the stairs, don't you? That's all it is. Yeah, I know.
No.
You'll be behind me going, she works out. She can bloody well do it.
And I'm doing the camera work saying, oh, Jesus. What's that big rock? Oh, no, it's not a rock. That's her arse. That's one kick of her arm. That's not a rock. It's one kick of her arm.
Oh, God.
See the other one.
On that note, goodbye, everyone. Left you with visions of
Thank you,
stuck on the
everyone.
staircase.
Penny, a million gazillion thank you for being on tonight.
so
It was a
welcome.
blast. I swear to God. Tell you, look, Chris, don't kill me. You adopted your dog from Bosnia.
I did, yes.
I know Chris is going to kill me now, but you adopted your dog from Bosnia because we love rescue. We love rescue.
So quick story. I've always had dogs. We lost our dog. You want to know? Well, I'll make this quick. Don't worry, I can do this speed. We lost our dog during COVID. She was a Labrador Golden Retriever. She was 14 and a half. She, it was sad, but it was, I'd always wanted a German Shepherd. I've always had a connection with them. I've never had one, but I always used to be the person who looked after friends' shepherds because I had a link with them. And so we were looking for one, and somebody I worked with, she ran one of the care homes I worked with. She also ran a charity where they bring dogs over from Romania and Bosnia, and told me they had this young puppy that had been found in Bosnia. He was about 3 weeks old, and he was missing part of his back leg. I said, yes, I'm interested, but he had to obviously wait till he was older. They were going to bottle feed him to get him to a certain age. And we were moving house as well. So I said, can we wait until we've moved? Because I don't want him to move in one place and then a month later have to move him. And so he came over when he was just over 6 months old. And
We've got to see him.
He's been destroying everything in my house ever since.
He's a puppy. He's just a big puppy.
He is calming down now, but yes, he's missing part of his back leg. And if I had a fiver for every time someone has stopped me and said, excuse me, your dog's limping, you should take it to a vet. And I turn around to them and say, I ain't paying 85 quid for the vet to tell me why my dog's limping. That's very rude. I'm going to report you. Feel free. Bye.
So do you call him a German Shepherd or an Alsatian? I'm joking. I'm joking.
You saw the post I put up about that. You know damn well. And if that wasn't even an Alsatian he was talking about. It was a bloody Belgian Malinois.
I know. I mean, they're the most dogs ever. Like, they really are.
No, I try and explain to people why they were known as Alsatians. I try and give them the history lesson. But no, he's a German Shepherd. He's a German Shepherd. Yeah.
He's
or a twat. He's a German Shepherd or a twat.
I've got five dogs. Let me trust and believe. I've got 5 dogs, and I've got a feral kitten coming to me on Monday.
You have,
I want to mother everything that no one thinks they can help. So of course, Jenny doesn't have like a million gazillion things to do. I must mother another feral kitten. and he looks very funny. He looks like he's
All
very
right, Irene, the reason they were called Alsatians, history lesson, about 1917, during the First World War, and it was kind of the British Commonwealth wanted to get away from the whole German connotation with them being German Shepherds because they hated the Germans. So they renamed them Alsatians because they come from the Alsace region of kind of France, Germany. After it's about early 1970s, the American Kennel Club and the British Kennel Club said, this is ridiculous. We haven't got a problem with the Germans anymore. Let's call them by the actual name, which is a German Shepherd. So there you go.
And the reason why I asked that question was because I read what Penny had put up. So I was like, because even though I'm a dog groomer, people say it's a German Shepherd because he's like
long-haired.
Short hair. Yeah, long-haired. And then he's an Alsatian because he's like an Alsatian, they call it, an Alsatian, because they have short hair. And I'm like,
yeah, they changed that.
If people say to me, is he an Alsatian or a German Shepherd? I say, yes. No, but which is he? Yes. Well, which is he? So it's the same ruddy thing, but he's a German Shepherd because they haven't been called Alsatians since I was born. But it's basically, I had an argument with someone on Instagram. He said that
I do it all the time.
But he's a troll apparently. He does it. He's done it before because the owner of the page. I messaged him and said,
my comment was little dick syndrome.
Yeah, actually, someone in there said that to him, little dick syndrome, and he said what did he say to them? Sterile Catwoman syndrome.
Oh shit. Really?
And she just put, "Oh, diddums, I'm crying my eyes out," or something along those lines. People
that have a big dog. Do you know what I call and the person who works in rescue for many, many, many years, and I'm trying to talk really fast. You have these big bull breeds and the big dogs and so on and so on. And I work in rescue more years than I've had hot dinners. We call them, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say. It's like 12 o'clock at night, so I can say what I say. We call them penis extensions.
Yeah.
For people that don't have little dicks and they have to have a big burly dog, it's because they just can't handle even a chihuahua.
But then again, I do like mastiffs and Rottweilers and things. I do.
But it's the men who kind of use them as like the prong collars and the cropped ears.
Oh yeah. Don't get me started on cropped ears. Don't get me started on cropped ears.
Been there, done that. Not for me, but in rescue, I was really careful. Rehoming a dog with cropped ears. You can't rehome a dog that had a dog running ring me. This dog came from UK to Scotland to Ireland to me, and I took the dog up. They said, you can't rehome a dog with cropped ears. And I'm like, what do you want to do? Go find them and pick them up and glue them back in it. Bloody hell. I'm doing what I can. I got her neutered. I got her vaccinated. I got her chipped. She came illegally from the to Ireland to save her life. And you just dumped her on me. And so and people are coming to me, and I'm like, do me a favor. And I was going to mute my microphone, but I know my microphone doesn't mute, so I'm going to do this one.
That was funny last week when she tried to mute her mic.
It was, yeah, I saw that.
Now I've learned to do this.
Right.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Oh, Lauren. Okay.
Bye.
Well, I know Lauren's saying 7 breeds of Alsatians, I think. Oh. No,
there's only one. There's one German Shepherd, but there's different variations.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. Right, so what I'm going to do,
it's kind of like in during World War II, Empire biscuits used to be actually called German biscuits, but when World War II started, or was it World War One? I can't remember.
It was World War One when German Shepherds got renamed Alsatians, and also that the royalty renamed themselves the Windsors because they were Saxe-Coburg Gotha, which they're Germans, and they renamed this. That was an awful lot of that during World War, and there were also internment camps for German people who were living in the UK in World War One and everything else.
Why did they go from straight back to slant back? Which irritates me. Straight back to slant back. It's just the worst thing ever.
Oh, it's just one of those stupid breeding. Oh, it looks better kind of crap. It's like with a lot of the brachycephalic dogs. The fact they get their faces flatter and flatter and flatter. The fact it's no good for the dog. They like it. It looks breed standards. They can do one.
Collie. I've got a border collie, black and white.
Border collies are the best dogs.
They're nutters. They're nutters.
Oh, yeah.
But they have. Do you find? And I just listen. You got to shut me off. Do you find each breed, or each owner has a breed that represents their own personality. Because I'm like, I've got 3 chihuahuas. I'm beautiful, but I'm snappy.
I don't know. I mean, I always had golden retrievers before. So,
You're giddy. You're giddy. You've got the long golden hair. You're like a tree retriever. You're giddy.
But I get on with German Shepherds. But it's the same as when I was horse riding. I used to get on with female thoroughbred mares, which most people didn't. So I think it's something to do with the sensitivity side. I don't know.
I don't know.
Okay. Chihuahuas don't tend to like me, put it that way. But I think that's because they don't like Loki.
My chihuahuas are good. They would love you. They would love you. Hope might try and take your soul from your body, but she would love you. And I have to say, Hope, my chihuahua, she's tattooed on my arm. She's my tattooed dog. She was bottle fed, and her birthday is tomorrow.
Oh,
she's going to be 8 years of age, so we have to have our party. But anyhow, yes, and I'm gonna not talking about, because my God, you all stopped. You don't stop talking, for Christ's sake.
I know, it's terrible.
Ages ago, you all don't stop talking.
I know. 5 hours later. So tell me all about World War II. Where did the tanks go?
You know what's going to happen? All those people in the chat room, we're going to say bye now. It's going to go off air, and they're still going to be talking about history and everything else. So, and I'm planning on watching the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight at 1 a.m. So,
what time is that for?
I'm planning on climbing out my bed because I can't feel my legs, but otherwise, fine. I'll be like Stephen Hawkins going down the stairs.
Oh, Jesus Lord, take the wheel.
Well, thank you ever so much. It's been a lot of fun tonight.
It has
and
been. You know what? You have to.
It's great to meet you, Chris.
Thank you very much. To meet you too.
Bonkers, Chris. Penny, would you come back on with us? Would you come back on?
I don't know.
I'll give you a few months to think about it.
Of course I would. Of course I would.
Definitely. It has been, there's so many things that I didn't know that I found out tonight, and it was just absolutely, there's Sarah. Our Sarah. Oh, Sarah, we love you. Oh, God.
My girl.
There's so many stories, I tell you. And I haven't met Sarah yet, but I've met Sarah. No, I haven't even met Nando. But we're like brother and sisters, like the three of us. And they're funny as feck.
They have you know how people give off energy, but you just want to be in their radius?
Yeah, that's them. Right? That's them. And I didn't make over to the Festival of the Unexplained because I was doing other stuff and I was working and I couldn't make it over. But and that was I wanted to meet Sarah and Nando. They were my people that I wanted to see. But we will. It's been many years, but we will. Well,
you'll have to come over to the next Paramate next May. I'm sure I can persuade them to come to that.
Listen, and Lulu will come with me, and Chris will come over with us.
Yes, so I'll come to you.
The Paramate is a really, really lovely experience.
I've been there, and it is what it says on the tin.
Yeah, so no egos, really friendly.
And you have fun, food, banter, drinks. It's brilliant. It is brilliant. Yeah. I've been there. I've witnessed it,
and I'll be there. I'll be at that one.
Penny, we'll talk. Penny, we'll take a selfie. Penny, we'll take a selfie. All right, we are. Listen, I tell you, look at Chris. He's dying to go. I'm looking.
Kick us out. Kick me out.
Right, these are all fucking gone. Anyone who watched, liked, shared, thank you, and commented. Thank you so much for watching. Penny, Griffin, Morgan. Thank you so much for being here tonight. You are a blast. You are my WikiP. Now you're my WikiP. I'm calling you my WikiP because if I need something, I'm going to call you. I don't trust and believe I am. I'm Irish, and I mean when I say. I'm Christopher, Chris, my hostess from another mostess, if that's what they say. I don't know how to say it. I think I have 2 or 3 hot whiskeys because I've got a head cold. But thank you for being my host tonight as well. You're always someone I can rely on and being an amazing host. Penny, we are going to do Lep Castle.
I'm scared now.
That's happening. It's happening. Anyway, good night. Thank you so
Good
much.
night, everybody.
We were going to catch up with you later. And this is what I think. Every time I go to say goodbye and I see comments and I just have to like see the comments before I go. But I'm not going to do it anymore. I'm going to bring this in the background. And good night. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.